What's up, everyone? Welcome to Escape Will Make Me Pod. This week, we talk about some thoughts we had about if Bungie made Cryo a little.
Yeah, we do. We talk about it. Oh yeah. Oh,
Okay,
we
well,
talk about
is
it.
Cryo
So
too
good
hard?
in this one.
Okay, buddy. I have
Too
balloons.
hard.
I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't think we can use this.
That was the ASMR intro.
We have to use it.
I don't. Oh, Jesus.
That was.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Escape Will Make Me Pod. We're back, everyone. We're back. Episode 11. Thank you, Jake, for doing such a great edit on last week's episode. And this is the official, it's supposed to be the official sunglass episode. Yeah, there we go. Nice.
There it
my
is.
clip-ons,
Sick,
and they don't
sick.
clip on real good when it's on my face.
Nice.
Damn,
I noticed,
you look tough as hell.
Jake, those are new glasses from last week, too.
These are my son's glasses because
Ooh.
in the
Your
frantic
son's
hurry
glasses. I like that.
to get ready when you said we were doing sunglass episodes again, these were the ones that I found. So.
I think your son has a better sense of fashion than you do.
Yeah, these are pretty wicked. They got fingerprints all over them and boogers, but
They're
they are
sick.
pretty good.
I'm
I'm
noticing
pretty
if
sure
I
these are
tilt
not
my
the
head, I
clips
can't
that
see
go onto
my
these glasses, as you
my
can see
screen.
from the bottom.
And you know,
But
Skarrow
we're making
was
it work.
saying,
We're making it work.
you were saying before we started, I look like your favorite streamer. I forget what his name is. I don't think he streams on Twitch
Oh,
anymore.
that's insane. I actually didn't notice that, but now that you say it, it's like, oh, you're that guy that got paid to play Marathon.
Yeah, the guy, I'm pretty sure he's an official marathon trader.
Yeah, I
said.
think. All right, well, anyways, the sponsor of this episode is New Caloric. They sent me these awesome balloons. And fun fact,
Finally.
they are repurposed bladders from people who died in cryostasis and didn't make the journey to Tau Ceti.
Oh,
And so, you know, New Caloric's doing all sorts of really cool things. I don't know why these are red, but they're doing
No
really
reason, I'm
cool
sure.
things, recycling body parts. So that's really fun.
very beautiful.
Yeah. So this is like mostly post cryo event type episode.
A lot has
Oh,
happened
go-
since
great-
we had like
great
an
title.
all the way through official, full-length, normal,
It's
It's true.
been long.
non-sicko mode pod.
I do want to do an edit for the last couple of weeks for me to like. When was I in LA? Was that like 3 weeks ago? When was that? I want to put a string. It's just been the most ridiculous month of my life, or month and a
let's
half,
see.
or something.
I think that was Monday the 2nd was when we were gonna record, but you said, I'm in LA.
Okay, so it was like
'Cause I think
yeah,
that was
like-
the right before launch. That was
so 4 weeks ago. Oh my
almost
god.
yeah, almost 4 weeks ago, yeah. By the
Jesus.
time of recording this.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been very fun, and I'm grateful for all the opportunities I've had, and you know, I'm grateful for you guys for being adaptable, because it's been absurd, and Jake for doing that sick edit and that sick song, and
Fucking hell yeah, dude.
yeah, I'm glad that Bungie didn't ban us after the LA event, and I'm really happy that Milo is always down to do stupid stuff with me, and
They
I'm
the
sure that-
opposite of banned you.
yeah, they
Like
kind
whatever
of
the
did.
opposite of banning is, that's what you got.
So yeah, that's a good segue. So this last week, was that just last week? What the hell?
Yeah, dog. It was well.
A week and 3 days ago, 10 days ago, we saw the ARG from Bungie, and then we got to host the Cryo launch event, which was really sick to watch the community come together to solve Cryo. Get to play a little bit. We internally, like me and Milo and Drew, we were kind of jokingly calling it LAN party weekend at Bungie, because it kind of turned into that. It was pretty fun. Whereas, because our main event was Friday and Saturday, I think, and then I didn't leave until Tuesday. So Sunday and Monday, they had someone babysit us in a whole different part of the studio, just streaming. So that was kind of fun. Yeah. So.
Yeah, well, how was
Someone's
the, how
job was to babysit
wait, to-
a few adult men at a video
Yeah,
game
well, I
studio.
mean, it's like a
Like,
security
dude.
thing. They can't.
and
They
we
can't leave
wonder
us
why.
alone.
And we
You know what I
wonder
mean?
why budgets are ballooning out of control.
Wow, wow, dude! If they left me alone inside Bungie Studios, I'm like,
No, it's the correct choice. They
where's-
have
where-
to do it.
Where's Destiny 3 being worked on at? Where's Gummy Bears at? Type shit. You know what I mean? It's like, it's good.
Someone's gonna come to your house and tackle you right now for even saying that.
To be clear, I didn't see any, like, we went from the production stage to an elevator up to it's like a streaming room for like creator events. It's where Ryan, it's where we did Renegade stuff. You know, they've got different names for it, but we were just holding there, and I was in one corner of the room. Milo was in a different.
For they show everything on my screen. I have to.
And the sunglass episode is ruined.
Terrible.
For our audio listeners, Ryan just ruined sunglass episode.
For the audio listeners, I still got them on, baby. They're still looking good.
True.
They're still looking fly and sick.
And then they had Drew in like one of those where I interviewed Ben Womack for Renegades, just like in one of those closets. So there's.
They had him in the closet, even though the streaming room is huge.
Yeah, but you
took up the whole thing.
Milo and I were as far apart as we could be because we're both very, very loud people. And then Drew claimed the corner room. So it was like, it's like, oh, but that's
to back you up. I've never been there as a solo creator or anything, so maybe it's different, but Bungie's very good at being like, don't look at any of the other rooms that you're not supposed to. Avert your eyes.
There's curtain. They curtain everything. They don't let you into, like, there's very specific places you're allowed into. You have to be, even to go to the restroom, which is, you know, not that far away from where we were, you have to be escorted. So it's like, and I get it, like, totally everything I said was a total joke, of course, but it's
yeah, we're only talking about Destiny 3 off the air, so don't worry about it.
Jesus fucking Christ. No, but
I'm not going to get in trouble.
It was okay. Well, it was a really great time. And I hope everyone enjoyed it. You know, I talked about it a little bit. The setup for post stream was kind of like, you know, it took me back to my old Skarrow days, just a freaking C920 or whatever, Logitech face cam, and like just a backdrop behind me. It was pretty fun. So it was a good time. But the main event itself, I really I hope everyone enjoyed it. And I wanted to ask, because we actually haven't talked about this, did you guys manage to watch any, or were you playing Cryo the whole time?
I watched a little bit of it, and then I was in the losing everything factory for most of the time.
Okay.
But I had it opened on, I mean, like, I think we tried to go, we'll talk about Cryo extensively here, but like we tried to go in blindish initially, and then that didn't last very long, because we like to do that when we raid in Destiny, of being like, let's try to stay blind until we all like mutually agree, let's go look at streams to catch up or whatever.
It's rough when being blind
rough when being blind means you're gonna lose all your shit.
Exactly.
So we went in blind the first time, and then went in blind maybe the second time, and then we started watching stuff. So then I pulled up the stream and kind of was watching as it muted on the side most of the time, and wondering to myself how you were handling not playing the thing the whole time. So that's why I spent my time watching it. But yes, you did. But it seemed like a great event. And like I think it's cool them bringing out, like, trying to, because they always have Evan and CB Gray there for raid races in Destiny, and so it's nice to see them, like, not that there's anything wrong with Evan or CB, but it's nice to see them like okay, well, now we'll get Skarrow and Milo and Drewski over here for every time.
It was. I do want to say, I don't think I said this, and sorry to interrupt, but I do want to say thank you for the opportunity, Bungie. Obviously, like, I'm super grateful, and it was nice this was never officially communicated to us, but I think it was like in recognition of us being two of the sort of community aggregators for the ARGs, I think. And like, Cryo is closer to something like that, or like a zombies Easter egg, than a raid. Mm-hmm. So I think it made sense to kind of go in a different direction. Whereas, like, you know, I love Evan and CB to death. They're like two of my like best content creator friends for sure. You know, I've been to their freaking house and recorded a ton of content with them. But I don't think they were very involved with the previous ARGs, and so I do think it makes sense to sort of you know, get people who are like really involved with the community and stuff involved. And I hope they have me back in the future. I hope we get more marathon. It's been kind of confirmed that we get more marathon maps through Joe Ziegler like a while ago, but I hope they are to this scale and, you know, they're as grandiose as this. And I hope they have us back because it was a lot of fun. And from all the metrics I've been seeing on our end, like it did really well. So.
Cool.
Yep.
Jake, I did all the talking when Skarrow asked for feedback, so please be as harsh as possible.
I watched the pre-show and then I played some before I watched the rest of it, but I got to tune in the second day, and I'll say I ran into a lot of people in game who were talking about how they had tuned into the stream and thought it was cool, and I had a lot of my friends who were like, "Oh, did you see Bungie's doing the stream?" So yeah, I thought it was awesome, dude. Congratulations!
Out here talking to people in marathon.
We were being talked to so much. It was so on Bungie had a rule, of course, we had to have proc chat off on the official stream. So for reasons.
Why?
Because it's incredibly easy to stream snipe in this game. And then
yeah, I'm sure that's the only reason why they didn't.
Well, no, I mean like if people, you know, but after when we were up in the as Drewski was referring to it, the Bungeon, we were able to turn proc chat back on because we were just streaming on our own channels, and people were like really nice. Like that, we were running into people being like, Skarrow, Drew, love you know, you guys did great or whatever. And because most of the time I wasn't playing with Milo then, so but it was that did happen a couple. I have big trust issues, and we should talk. That's a funny moment we should talk about. But I'll circle back to that. But it's actually been awesome. Like I had a team literally yesterday. Like we're streaming compiler runs, and we see a team, and I've got the goop gun, right? I've got the freaking we call it Big Bertha. I call it Big Bertha, the biotoxic disinjector. And you know, I'm shooting freaking lasers and you know, procreation liquid of compilers everywhere, and it's doing damage. And this team is like, "Oh, don't kill us!" And I down them, and they're like, "Oh, it's Skarrow," and they're like, "Take my loot." So they like sacrificed themselves to the compiler run. It was really sick.
By the way, I think first of all I was muted the last time I said anything, so sorry. I'm really good at this. But also, like, I think just for the record, I think compiler jizz is less offensive than procreation liquid. I think just like we should all agree.
I don't think
here
so.
that the trying to move away from that terminology is
I'm gonna need Jake to be the tiebreaker on that one. Actually,
I'm thinking with the way that we're all looking right now with the sunglasses, maybe that's the name of our first album, Procreation Liquid. Yeah, there we go. This is Procreation Liquid. Like, this is very like CKY. Like,
I need it on like a stick. I need to get this like on a stick, like on.
Oh, that's not what I thought you meant by that sentence, brother. Anyway, so
I vote yes for that. Yes.
Nice.
Also,
okay,
the compiler breeding facility is a very big pivotal structure that we're probably going to come across at some point. So,
do you actually wait? Really?
No, I'm entirely fine.
Oh, damn. So okay. Do I save this for the marathon minute? Okay, we'll get back to it.
You don't even know what we're going to talk about during the marathon minute.
No, but I have my own thing I want Jake to talk about.
Okay.
Anyway, so Cryo event was awesome. We got to play a little bit. Ran into a bunch of really sick people. I got to kill the compiler while at Bungie. That was sick. With, you know, people who helped design it, maybe in attendance. That was really sick. And
telling you all the secrets, ruining.
Nope. I was telling them before the stream, like, we deliberately asked, like, they were like, do you want to, like, because we were covering there, do you want to know roughly how this is gonna go, so you know, like, what tools to prep? And we were like, absolutely not. Like, we don't want to know anything. We had a Figma board set up. We had touchpad laptops. We were ready to freaking ARG it up. We thought, to be honest, I thought the puzzles inside the vaults were going to be a lot more convoluted than they were. And so, like, we we were ready to cork board and string this shit to the gills, and I wanted to know nothing. And I'm actually really happy with how it ended up going. Like, I think this is a really good like Vault of Glass equivalent for this type of thing. I was surprised that so much of the puzzling and like difficult stuff was like just to open the vaults.
It's getting into them.
That was very strange to me, but you know, whatever. That leaves opportunity to do different things in the future. So I think that's always really cool. And I think being sort of surprised or something being different than what you expected, especially for a Bungie game, like compared to the last 5 years, is a very good thing. So I did actually really enjoy that. I think there's a lot of room to make it more puzzly, especially like the compiler mechanics, very simple, like super simple, right? And so I think there's a ton of room to grow there in the future, which is exciting. Like, I think this is a really good foundation base layer of paint, and I can't wait to hopefully in 5 or 7 years look back, sort of like I did with Salvation's Edge, and be like, man, Vault of Glass used to be a raid, you know? And so I'm like, I'm excited to see how things evolve over time, for sure. So, but yeah, we knew absolutely nothing going into it. And when I had play tested Cryo in October of 2023, and it was all gray box. It was very different than what, like, the security system wasn't there, no battery system, no coolant.
Yep.
And the only sort of even small semblance of anything that was close to what we played was there was something that was vaguely similar to the DNA sequence, but it was much closer to a Destiny thing. And that was like the only step before we were supposed to fight the compiler, but it wasn't in the build. So like we hit like a grav lift, and then it was like, congratulations, you exfilled. So I knew essentially nothing about this, and that was really exciting to me.
I had done a playtest for it at some point between last April and now. They did like 1 weekend test for it, and it was like completely different. Like there was none of the mechanics in there, no keys or anything. The first time I ever opened a vault or anything like that, or even picked up like a battery, I feel like was during the actual launch of it. So like there are like 1 or 2 hallways that I remember getting fucked up in, like the stairway to the Panopticon was something. It's like I remember that room.
The stairway.
But stairways to the Panopticon on either side. I remember having a fight in there with somebody, but like that's like literally like it was just the structure of it, the actual like mechanics, and even the way that you move around the map is to my knowledge. I don't think anybody, maybe like the people who playtested, who did like the longer playtests, got to check it out. I don't know, but I wasn't in those. But in terms of like the playtests that they allowed other people into, nothing in terms of. So I don't think anybody had like an unfair advantage. I was just giving Skarrow shit because he tells us things before we jump into the show, being like, I didn't want anyone to think that we had an unfair advantage because we didn't, and so then I can take that in here and fuck with them.
I gotta stop talking to you guys, or mostly just you. I mean, Jake usually doesn't do that, but I gotta stop.
No. We're becoming better friends, which means I am fucking with you more.
Yeah. So, the last fun fact I'll give is when I played, and I've talked about things about like this before, but when I played in 2023, the control was like, I believe, a lot more compact, and then there was the Panopticon like wasn't there, so you could see all the way across, and there were a lot more of the things that move up and down, and they were constantly doing it. And so it was like everyone hit the center, and we only played for like 2 hours, so it was like, you know, no one really got to know the map, but everyone hit the center, and then it was just chaos. It was just like all 5 or 6 teams, I think it was at the time, it might have even been 6 teams, I don't remember for sure, but all the teams hit the center at the exact same time, and it was like maybe one person could walk out. Like, not even one team, like one person could walk out.
I mean, that's my experience with the launch version too.
Yeah. Yeah, it was brutal. So I like how they segmented it. I love how labyrinthian and complex it is as a map. It is a different game than the other 3 maps entirely.
Yeah.
And the loot floor is way higher, and I am a big fan of having like the idea of like, okay, you have to make it through your spawn, and then your objective sends you right into someone else's spawn is awesome. And it's like, I really enjoyed it. So I'm interested to hear your guys' take on that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it feels super rewarding to master the movement between the zones. And in a lot of ways, it feels like control is. I think I don't think I'm the first person to do this, but it feels very Leviathan from Destiny 2 launch.
Oh, kind of.
To
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
which is like Leviathan is my favorite Destiny raid. I'm weird that way. Like it's genuinely my favorite. I have yet to come across one that makes me feel the way that one does. And it like it feels like the main pathway through control that you first start out learning is like the main way that you move through like the Castellum and everything for people who are familiar. I feel like most people are probably familiar with the Leviathan in
Yeah.
Destiny 2. And then you move into the routes that way. But like once you start learning all the different routes that you can go to between the different spawns without going through control at all, including like the main doors, but also you can move through like preservation via the secret laboratory. Like my team moves that way all the time
Yeah.
because we have like you can get through that area with the heck because we have like the upgrade that means we start with like 2 minutes worth of heck every time. Or when we run with Jake who doesn't have that upgrade yet, you just throw a bot and tank it the whole way through, which works, is effective. But like you learn a bunch of different routes you can go through, or like the route between cargo and index that takes you over the top of.
That's my favorite part of the map. Like when
It's
you're
so
in that
cool.
when you're in that icy hallway and you can sit on the shipping containers, and there's a couple of really good rat spots. Like you can only
Yeah,
get
it's
there
fucked
with
up.
thief or glitch, but there's like cargo containers that are missing, and you can jump, and it's just like you're 4 stories above everyone. If you have a
Uh-huh.
thermal, it's over.
More than once, I believe more than once, we were at that spot at like 2 or 3 minutes down bad and just decided to wait there to see if someone exfilled, and we have stolen someone's exfill from
Oh,
that spot more than once. Because if the spot,
yeah,
it's a very common exfil location to spawn in the back by where vault 5 is, and if you just wait for it to spawn, you can get lucky
yeah.
and jump down. You don't take very much damage while falling into the ice, and just walk right over to it, and you can exfil before anyone could possibly get a chance to get there. So we've taken someone's exfil like more than once from that
That's
location.
super
It's
sick.
super fucked up.
That's super sick,
It's
though.
yeah, it's awesome. And but like the more you learn about those back routes, the more it becomes like me and a buddy of mine who also play Marathon were our team's underbelly navigators when we did it back in the day. And like when someone's like, oh, I have a uh like a garden under the gardens key, we're like, oh, okay, we know how to get there, we know how to get to that from this route, and we would take
Yeah.
people through it and not get lost, and people would be like, how do you do that? And be like, we played this map a lot. But
Yeah.
Cryo really is kind of like that. Whenever we play it with people, like someone like a third who isn't our usual, we start like running through the map. It's like, where the fuck did you go? Like, where is
Yeah.
this? Like, and it becomes super rewarding just to navigate through it. Like the map design, I have some gripes with the way Cryo is played that aren't necessarily Cryo's fault entirely.
Mhm.
But like the actual map design itself is really sick, and like definitely the biggest highlight of the entire event for me is just the layout of it is amazing.
Yeah. All right, Jake. Let's hear it.
Cryo?
Cryo.
Oh, Cryo Archive? You mean the map on the marathon? Man, it's pretty fun.
That's what you got.
No, yeah, I did not get to play the second weekend, so I only got to play the first weekend. Oh shit. I'm glad that the subroutine thing got changed. That was
Yeah,
pretty brutal.
Jesus. We were
feel like-
Yeah.
we were so vocal about that. Like
Yeah.
I was just like, this cannot. When sorry, not to cut you off, but when Snazzy's team, that was the highlight of the episode. Like the production crew, because of OSHA regulation, could only work 10 hours, and we didn't have a second production crew budgeted, which I kind of wish they would have done instead of a day 2 event, but it's whatever. You learn lessons. And so when Snazzy's group was going up and they were about to get subroutine 6, and it was like they might be the first team to do this, and then it didn't spawn. It was just like this literally cannot stay like this. It was so bad, and then we were pretty vocal about that, and it seems like they agreed. So
Yeah, they sure did.
yeah. Anyway, sorry, Jake. Please continue.
So yeah, I think it's one of the most rewarding multiplayer experiences in terms of like competitive multiplayer experiences I've ever seen or been a part of. I think like while the puzzles themselves are very basic, especially if you're coming from like a raid type mechanic or something like that, I do think that there's enough like to them to where with the added tension of having to like hear out another team and everything else that's going on looting, I think that it's engaging enough. um yeah, dude, it's awesome. The lore entries for the Cryo Archive I think are really great, probably like the most, I would say the most interesting ones that are probably in the game.
Do
I
they get
do like,
super alien-y? Like I haven't had time to read and like sit down and read all the the
yeah,
Cryo Codex stuff. Like do they get out there?
one of the codex entries, I'm trying to, let me see what the name of it is. What is it? Unknown Reveries, maybe. No, not Compiler Trace. The Compiler Trace entries are all just a retelling of the Sfit history from Marathon 2. And
Yes.
maybe there's like a terminal from Marathon Fendi. This is what it seems like. I've only,
From whose perspective?
I haven't fully, from the perspective of the Sfit. And
sick.
it almost seems like it's maybe from different individuals, but also maybe they're a little bit of a collective kind of thing going on. But I've read over everything that's there except for the AI subroutine stuff, which are like the messages seem to be coming directly from Durandal.
Do you want them? I can send them to you if you need them.
Yeah. I do think, I don't know where they're at. I don't know where those are posted, but I've been able to read all the other stuff.
Okay.
And I've only been able to leave with one subroutine. I did 4 vaults, I think, the first weekend, something like that. I did a few with Ryan with no subroutine spawns. So that was a bummer.
Brutal.
I'm still missing the 3 subroutine, and I'm now out of 3 keys. And we opened 3
I got one.
4 times the first weekend.
Brutal.
And it's brutal.
3 is the worst vault. I hate 3 so much.
We had 3 keys this last weekend, and we lost all of them on the way there. Which is like we typically don't seek out combat on Cryo, which is weird because we go hunting players on the other maps, but we deliberately like avoid it at all costs on Cryo, and we still just like got fucked on every single run on this one. Jake, we'll talk more lore stuff, but like, is there anything in the map or in the lore to suggest, like, do we know who the compiler boss is, or is there anything special about them, or is it just
we make them, right? That's what this step is. We like that's because you take the DNA access card and you synthesize it, and then you do the base pair thing. Like that's us cloning a sample of the compiler, right? That's how I read it. But maybe not.
Oh, I thought I haven't done it, but I thought you were cloning like credentials to get into the vault, not where the compiler is hiding.
That could be it. I just found it weird that it's like every time you, like when you do the DNA lockdown sequence and it gives you the base pair thing, the room turns green and then there's the orb. And then when you do the base pairs correctly, map turns green again. And then when you finally make it up there and you enter everything in the DNA room and you enter the command DNA vial, then it turns green again. And it's so maybe it's the compiler guiding you, but I got the vibe that, and I could be totally wrong, but
you can hear it though. Like when you're roaming the halls of Cryo earlier on in the map, you can hear it.
Do we think that's what that is?
I think that's what my team thinks that is. It's like, because we keep hearing that like loud shrieking noise.
It sounds very loud. I
think it's the compiler upstairs making a ruckus.
It could be. It definitely could be. I've been interpreting that as a tease for further down the road, because to me the compiler doesn't feel like something that would be really loud and like big monster screechy type thing. Whereas like I could see like a hunter being like that, for instance, type thing. So I don't know. I have no insight into this. I'm not like the lore guy. I also personally think it would be cooler if we're cloning this compiler and we're like, it's like a baby one that we're killing. But I probably could phrase
wouldn't
that better,
also that would also open a door for more of the 4, potentially more aliens, if we think that like
that's sort of what I want to talk about. But
that would open a door for that, and also that would kind of justify why this compiler is hostile.
Yeah.
Um,
yeah.
as well.
I will also say, like, to play devil's advocate, this is something I was talking about on stream because I was like, yeah, we're cloning it. I think I said this exactly. Like, we're cloning it, but why is it a cyborg when we clone? Because that's not how it. Like, if I cut off my leg and I give myself a prosthetic, my kid doesn't have a prosthetic. So like, the Sphit are cyborgs, but and maybe you can answer this, Jake. They're not cyborgs. Like, I don't know how the Yarrow, or did the Yarrow modify them? I don't freaking know. But it's like, I imagine they're not born as cyborgs. They have to be like kind of like Daleked into a cyborg body, but I don't know.
I think like the actual Sphit themselves are described as like near immortal, right? Like when Durandal takes the ship and he has his near immortal crew of Sphit, but the Sphit themselves were regular creatures, and then they were uplifted and like, you know, kind of a technological evolution from Yarrow technology. So I think, and you can also look at the xenobiopsy entries where they talk about, I think the last like 2 or 3 are about when they do the autopsy of one of the compilers, and they're kind of just blown away with how the actual organic and the, you know, synthetic technological parts are so interwoven. So I think like, yes, what you're saying is true in the sense like there is organic component to them, there's a technological component, but I think the technology itself is so advanced that it's kind of one and the same, or so integrated,
Okay.
you know, that it like
Okay.
wouldn't be something you could discern the difference of in the same like sense
Okay.
as like a prosthetic for like a person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have like read enough stuff, and I think where they're going with the story is away from the 4, just based off what I've seen. Everything that
Oh.
I've seen seems to indicate that like the 4 are not in the picture, and honestly the end of the compiler trace entry, like the last one, seems to be positioning, okay, what are the Sphit doing post Marathon Infinity, and they kind of assumed this role as documentarians of the universe, like seeking out destroyed worlds and then documenting what's happened there. So it seems almost like what's brought them back here is to document what occurred to the people, and then whatever the additional alien threat is here. Very, you know, I'm still working through it. I haven't done the compiler boss fight yet, so there's certain elements that I just haven't seen or
Yeah.
experienced very tactile. But it does seem to me in this moment that what they're hinting at is like the events of Marathon Infinity played out almost as is, and Durandal and Thoth as a merged AI entity came back to the Marathon ship itself, and that I think Thoth, you know, as a separate Yarrow AI, may have tricked Durandal into placing himself on the Marathon again, and because he had grown in size so much, because he become this rampant metastable AI that was existing on advanced alien technology, when he got like he moved himself back onto the Marathon ship for whatever reason, I think Thoth split from him. And so now Durandal is having to do this cycle, and he talks
Oh,
about like
shoot.
eating parts of himself,
Oh,
is what it
okay.
seems like.
So
I was literally
could be
about to
off,
ask you that.
rough interpretation, but yeah.
That's a
'Cause I know-
huge departure from what we thought. Because like if I'm not mistaken, going into New Marathon, I believe the common assumption was that Marathon Infinity was like probably not going to be super canon anymore, and this was going to take place after Marathon 2. Am I incorrect there? Or
I would say that like it seemed to me that the majority of the stuff they were expanding on and kind of the story beat stuff they were touching on was all about Marathon 1. Like they were expanding
Okay,
out
yeah.
the human element, a lot of stuff from
Yeah.
Marathon 1. And then kind of whatever happened in Lahuan or after the story leaves Tau Ceti solar system wasn't necessarily going to be something that was directly continued. Whereas now I'm thinking that the Sphit being freed and then returning to their home world and taking on the 4, now that that's being kind of shown, I feel like as a main narrative beat for what the compiler's purpose is in the universe at this point, it almost seems like that stuff maybe happened very, very much so. It's much more of a direct sequel than we previously thought.
That's cool.
Well,
Could be
I know
different, but
I know you had speculated that the Durandal that we were communing with was like a fragment of him left behind originally, but now like there's seemingly definitive evidence that like this is the Durandal that has been through all of this shit potentially, and is now like he is. That's why he's so pissy, not because he was left behind, but because now he is like a large entity being squished back into a small
Yeah, like a
carapace.
trapped god
Yeah.
type of thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He's almost like
And
the
it
working
seems-
cactuar, bro.
Yeah, like he's become his own
Yeah.
working character.
Oh,
Interesting.
And it seems
oh,
like
spit, bro.
the reveries seem like Durandal's daydreams, as he's kind of interpreting the
Wait,
situation.
reveries. What do you mean by
simultaneously-
that?
Literally, I think, is right, like another word for a daydream. Is that fair, Ryan? It's like
Okay.
the
But what is
words
this
that
like a
goes
reference?
into yourself.
What is this a reference to? Like in game? What is this a reference to? Like, is this just
That's the
codex
name
stuff?
of an item. Yeah, let me say it with the gold unknown reveries is the name of the gold item on Cryo Archive.
I think that's fair. It's
Okay.
daydream is very much like part of the definition of. I mean, I just went and looked it up, but I think that's fair. Like daydream is one of the top words that is associated with something like reverie, and it's the musical aspect of it is an instrument using like inciting a dreamy or musing state. So I think that would make like him basically fantasizing about a different future for himself would make a lot of sense.
But there's no way they don't do the 4 at some point in some way.
I can't imagine them not doing it. I mean, especially with how much feedback there was that like people wanted more than just bot combat, and also like I feel like that feedback has grown. Like a lot of the feedback that people have had over the past 6 months to a year, I feel like now you look at it and you go, oh, okay, well, I understand why they didn't do this. Similarly, like people understand now. I think there's a lot greater understanding of like why Cryo is only available a couple days a week. And we'll talk about that as well. But like a lot of the stuff, the decisions that Bungie has made have started to make more sense the more time you play it, which like no shit, duh. Like all these things are designed with intent. Doesn't mean that you can't argue back against them, and I'm sure we'll do more of that soon. But like just because everything is designed with intent, so like there's a purpose of why it is that way. But one thing that I feel like the feedback I stayed pretty consistent on is that the PvE encounters are not that engaging, and that people want a little bit more variety with it. I certainly agree with that. Like as somebody who has played all these playtests and killed thousands of bots, and I don't want a PvE only mode, but it would be nice for there to be something a little bit more. I would like to see them expand the PvE range of foes in the future. And it's like that's feedback they've been getting. So I have to imagine that even if they didn't initially intend for the 4 to be part of it, I have to imagine they are looking into like other. I mean, like Marathon's a big universe. Maybe you're going to introduce new types of aliens. It doesn't have to be the 4.
Yeah.
And
I hope they do that as well, right?
Yeah,
like,
I would like to see them expand the universe. I don't want them to just retread everything that the old games did. I think most people wouldn't want to do that. And I also don't think no offense to the old Marathon heads out there, but I don't think they're enough of the audience that Bungie needs to be like cater to the like, ooh, it's a 4 drone. Like that will get some people excited, but like, I think it would be just as exciting to see them expand and do something different. But I have to imagine that Jake, I know you have some theories on like another enemy faction that could be coming sooner rather than later, but
don't answer that yet, because I think this ties into my question as well.
Okay, yeah, we'll get back there. We'll get back there. But like, I have to imagine they're cooking up some sort of alien thing, and honestly, I kind of don't want them to just do like, oh, it's a new Marathon map. Which old Marathon enemy are we going to get hiding out in the 7th vault? Like, I would like to see them do something a little bit more inventive than that.
I think the 4 Hulk would be literally the perfect raid boss.
I don't disagree with that. I just think
that could be what's making that freaking noise, dude.
It could be. It could be. I mean, I think it's interesting that they went with the compiler to begin with. I feel not to be overly cynical, and I actually don't think this is a problem, so I don't know if cynical is even the right word for it. But it feels to me like the reason the compiler was. I'm curious if there is a lore reason that emerges that they do justification for it, why it's a compiler specifically. But given that the compilers have spent so much time being like allies, like more time being allies than enemies in Marathon, it kind of feels like the reason the compiler is the boss of Marathon Vanilla is because it's the most recognizable enemy from the original game.
I agree 1,000,000,000%. It is just the most iconic one.
That feels a little weird, like a little bit weird to me, especially because I think the visual difference between the compiler in game and the compiler on the box art and in the cinematics is a little jarring to me. But I'm interested to see like what the justification is for that, and also like what they do in the future when they don't have to worry as much about being like, check out this very iconic and cool looking enemy. Okay, now we can move on to doing something a little bit more. I mean, I think that the Hulk is more generic sci-fi. Like
Yeah.
I've seen that enemy in other like in other shooters. The compiler is still a very unique silhouette and a very unique looking enemy. Similar to something like an elite in Halo.
Yeah.
It casts a very specific shadow. So I'm curious to see what they would do next. But I really, outside of agreeing with you that the Hulk would be a sick boss fight, I really would like to see them not just be like, it's the one with the drone boss. You know what I mean? Like I want them to expand further into more interesting ideas than just finding a new 4 or 4 adjacent foe every time we do a marathon map.
I have so many things to say to all of that, and Jake, just cut me off if I ramble on for too long. But so a couple of things. So I don't think them picking a compiler just because it's like recognizable or iconic is a bad thing. I think that is like what Bungie has always done really well is make like iconic bosses, and I think the compiler lore, at least from a 7.5 out of 10 lore head like myself, like it's got like the whole moth imagery when it opens up, and it fits like the whole. If you look at, dude, I don't know, I have to imagine this is intentional, but when you're loading in Cryo and it does like the green dot map of it, it's just a moth. It looks like a moth, and then you have like the loading screens with the moths, and then you have, it's the whole metamorphosis thing, like how do you transform and that sort of stuff. And compilers, organic things put into mostly electronic bodies or synthetic bodies, aren't that different from us as runners as well. Like, so I think there's a parallel there.
Oh yeah.
Both of us kind of part of a larger thing, but also like you could argue that as runners, we are slaves to the corporations and UESC in the same way that the compilers used to be to this fit. And so I think there are to the 4, excuse me. And I think there's a lot of
to Durandal.
Yeah, maybe. I'm curious how that relationship, like, if the compilers are documentarians and then they were friendly, why is this one so aggressive if we aren't cloning it? Like, if it's trapped in Vault 7, is it just in fight or flight? Does it, like, oh my god, the fact that the loot area, it's called the Breach, and it's like, that's, to me, is so fucking sick. Like, it's like, okay, like, this is obviously where one of these main attacks happened, and it seems like it's maybe a little, my understanding from the lore, it's newer, so it might not be like the original Breach of the marathon that we see like in the trailer, the cinematic and stuff. And so, like, once again, 7.5 out of 10 informed, haven't had a lot of time to read the codex.
Breach is also a birthing term, if we want to bring it back to that as well. Yeah, so it's kind of multifaceted.
We're bringing it back to birthing.
Well, bringing it back to Skarrow's like creation. Breach is a birthing term, a negative birthing term. It's a very dangerous thing that happens during pregnancy. But
interesting. Also, it's a fantastic album by Era. So, bringing our streak of Era references back. Here we are, man. So, I'm so excited. Jake, respond to any of that. How you? Oh, wait, one more. Also, I love the idea that there's other marathon maps, but I don't think I want every raid-like map to be on the marathon. Like, I think it's totally fine if we get like a beginner map that's also another floor of the marathon, right?
I think that would be sick. I would love to see them do a non-raid map on the marathon and then have a raid map on.
I don't want it to turn into what Destiny raids and dungeons were for a while, where it was like, oh, another endgame activity in a pyramid type thing. You know what I mean? Where it's like, they all look the same.
I never
generally
got sick of the pyramids. But yes, I agree.
Yeah, and I just think like, I'm still on the copium. Like, I want a Lowan map, and if the boss there is just a Hulk where they fought back, but it's been trapped or they haven't been able to kill it or whatever, I think that'd be so sick. Ignoring the lore complications with that, Jake. Sorry. Yeah. Respond to any and all of that how you see fit.
I will say the language that they've used to describe the Cryo Archive leading into us, and then also I'm reading here on the Steam page, bring your in-game builds to Cryo Archive, the first deck of the UESC Marathon. I don't remember exactly where else, maybe it was in the Vidoc they talked about it, but my understanding was that they were kind of going in the direction where we were going to go through like that, the in-game maps will be different decks within the marathon. Maybe it'll be a thing where it's like we'll get like a normal map on board the marathon. But honestly, there's so much that we've seen of the colony itself that we haven't explored that I feel like
Yeah.
maybe standard maps would take place on the. I mean, also the maps that we have so many locations that are inaccessible. There's like so many,
Yeah.
top of complex and little places
Where
like this
is
that
it, man?
seem like they could expand in
Pretty
different
disappointed
ways.
that wasn't part of the ARG. Like full
Yeah,
stop. Like,
super
know.
bummer, huge bummer.
putting it
Like-
in the freaking cinematic like
know.
that and then not using it is just like, what?
Biggest disappointments around the Cryo, like from that perspective, is not going into the top of complex, and the absolute fumble of not having the TV static when the compiler.
Oh,
dies.
when it dies.
What the fuck?
The death
What the
animation
fuck?
is really cool, but it should have
It's- I
staticked
don't
out. It
disagree
should have
with you,
staticked out. Yeah.
But if we're talking about iconic, the Sfit staticking out is the coolest and most
Yeah.
iconic thing that happened. Like that was when I went and played Marathon 1. Like
yeah.
the first couple levels, I was like, "Oh shit, that's such a dope effect for 1994."
Yeah.
To like, what an absolute fumble! How, come on, like surely
Yeah.
they had to test it at some point, and maybe it just didn't look good or something. But like, I
think the same
was
thing with
so
invisible
bummed.
compilers, right? Like at some point that was a mechanic, and they just like
Yeah.
for whatever reason went away from it or whatever.
We can talk about this too, but I also like think it's such a weird missed opportunity to not have something happen in the other maps when the first weekend of Cryo is over. I think that's. I hope
have
that
to
happens,
imagine
but-
that's a season 2 thing, right? Like I think they
yeah.
if something is going to happen, I think it would happen then. Like I don't think you're like Dire Marsh exists as it is for a week and then the experience has changed. You know what I mean? It's like from a live service perspective, I think they're gonna as much
I thought
as
it would
I
be
would
like an
love
event or something like that.
I
like
would
pop
love
up,
that
like a new
too.
event.
But I do think there's a little bit of like harboring the core experience for a little bit of time. I totally agree, but I think like how many unique people have killed the compiler? Like 1,000.
Oh, we'll talk about that.
500?
I'm certain
Okay.
we'll talk about that.
Okay.
But I agree with you, but at the same time, like I know Jake, you have this criticism, and so I would like you to talk about it more than I'm going to. But just from a casual lore perspective, I feel like Bungie is moving at a pace that is very much what they've done with Destiny that I don't totally love.
Too
which
fast.
is that too slow.
Oh.
Which is where I feel like almost entirely what we have gotten from this is history, which is great. We need the history, but
Yeah.
I was really hoping that the marathon would feel like a step forward in the story. And
This
it feels
goes
like
back to my
instead
question
it's
as well.
it's just a step into a new area of learning history, which is good. The history is
Yeah.
interesting. It's fascinating. It's really cool. But I am just like, we spent a lot of years in Destiny where you would go into an expansion and you would learn all about the story in that new area and the actual plot, like mainline plot story of Destiny itself would inch forward.
Mhm.
And I was really hoping that Cryo would be more of like a step towards like what's happening next. And it feels very weird to me that like it's the whole thing is just history when I feel like I would have preferred it to be like 60% teaching us about it and like 40% let's start to inch things forward in a way. And I know Jake, you have a lot more thoughts about that, so I want to kick it over to you. But that's kind of been some of my story criticism around Cryo, and then that's why I wanted something to happen afterwards. I wanted to feel like Cryo happens, and then that impacts the rest of the world. And it just it feels like we missed that. So Jake.
Yeah, I do agree. I feel like one of the things is like I'm going to be coming at it from a perspective that's way different from 99% of people who are playing, in the sense that like I've been thinking about all of the prep they've in the world building they've been doing and rereading all these things. So like in terms of like being introduced to Maida or Sakaguchi or Traxxas, like a lot of that information feels very redundant to me because I've been very, interested in all this stuff they put out prior to launch. So I do understand from the perspective of like, everyone else playing the game, they want to get introduced to, aside from people who've really been following and paying attention to things that are very niche and like going to ARG websites. Like, so I get why they would want the first season to be an introduction to this world. Like, what is Maida? What are they about? And what is Sakaguchi's goal and New Caloric's And so I do think like I understand from that perspective why a lot of what we've done has felt like set up for something that's going to come next. With that being said, the priority contracts are for new contracts, they're the same as they were in the April alpha. And I would make the argument, very early thoughts. I'm not like holding on to this opinion forever. I kind of think maybe they were a little better in the alpha, just in the sense that like there weren't extra contracts in between. So like from
Yeah.
a new caloric going from like, we're here, we're in the colony. Oh shit, hey, there's some contagion here to, okay, let's follow Dr. Son to we're finding her body to, okay, the contagion tied to anomaly. I felt like the pacing for that for me felt a little bit nicer in the alpha, which is a funny thing to say because obviously the game has improved so much. But it was a little bit disappointing in the sense that when I played that in the alpha, I was like, oh, we're just getting a taste. And in reality, it seems like unless they add new priority contracts or the carry event that's coming later on, adds some, significant amount of additional narrative content for the season, it seems like it's kind of, locked to what it is right now. The world building stuff is amazing, and filling out the codex entry. A lot of the stuff in the codex entry is taking very small little things that were like a paragraph in the original games and then expanding them out. So you get to actually see what that was like the abuse that Durandal suffered at the hands of Bernard Strauss. And you see Tycho talking about that. And then this game has a whole series of Bernard's journals where you see like Durandal was designed with extra room to grow because kind of part of the secret goal of this mission was to get an AI removed from Earth and seemingly see if you could get a metastable rampant AI, true artificial intelligence, not something that's, a computer mimicking a sentient mind, but an actual sapient thing that was created by man. Bernard Strauss is playing God, and the abuse that he's doing is deleting Durandal's poetry, and we're seeing him talk about it in real time. So it's really cool, but also stuff that's just expanding a lot of these ideas that if you've been like really clued in on already existed. So not a lot of progression there. So I agree with Ryan in the sense that I really do think like I was expecting more. Also, I get why there wasn't more. And then I think with the cryo stuff, I feel like the climax of all the narrative content we've gotten so far could have been, or maybe would have been, fighting the Sphit. Like all the questions that Skarrow was talking about, it seems like they're setting up answers to all those things. Like the final compiler trace entry and the final entry for the unknown reveries, it seems like they're establishing, okay, the Sphit are here, but they've ascended themselves. They were created by these people that, the Yarrow they saw as gods, and they lived on this like utopian planet. And then Pythia was flung into, or was attacked by the working character. They flung them into the sun, and then they were abandoned by their creators. And then a new race came in, the Four, and they were enslaved. And then they met Durandal, and now it's like they're working alongside someone who maybe is as powerful as their owners, or the people who enslaved them, or maybe the people who even created them. And then now they've ascended beyond that, where it's like they're equals with them, and they kind of have their own freedom. So like, what is their place in the world when their gods are dead and their masters have been destroyed and their friends have moved on, or whatever, if Durandal's a friend. So they're positioning the Sphit as like, now they kind of have their own agency, and now they're placing Durandal back in Tau Ceti, but seemingly kind of handicapped a little bit, and has lost some of the ability and an intellect that he gained throughout the original trilogy. And then now we have this looming presence of potentially this ancient Yarrow AI, which might have its own goals and might be here in Tau Ceti for the same reason that the UESC maybe wanted to come to Tau Ceti for as a location. And when you go back and you look at like one of the early codex items from Perimeter, and you see like one of the first notes they made when they were surveying the areas, like, it's interesting because Tau Ceti 4, the planet itself, is like exists in this perfect spot, outside in the orbit where like there's no debris. So it's like, it almost seems like there was some sort of intervention just to get the planet to become habitable. Like that was done by aliens a long time ago. So maybe there's an alien presence here that the Thoth, the ancient Yarrow AI is following up on. And is Durandal going to be able to like do some Sherlock Holmes logic to deductively reason his way back to like what he was doing here? What are the other threats? What are the Sphit just trying to observe what happens here? Is that why they're fighting against you? Because they just want to see how things play out? Are they trying to protect the interests of this Yarrow AI? But all of this to me feels very hamstrung by the fact that from a gameplay design point, they can't really make the compiler like the climax of the story, because such a small percentage of the player base is going to get to see it. And this is, I'm not, this is still up in the thought cabinet. I'm still trying to complete what I'm thinking about that. But it does feel rough when it's like, man, like, could you tell somebody if what they say is like, the world of Marathon intrigues me, and I like competitive shooters and I think extraction games are cool, but if they're like, I want to see the story, could you really tell them like, yeah, well, come play and check it out? Because it's like, I have played, a lot of time spent in the codex entry, but we're talking about, well over 100, almost 200 hours. I still haven't seen, the Cryo 6 key. I've only done one, and it's not like I feel like the reward of doing the experience in the way that it is going to be so satisfying. It's going to be such a great gameplay experience. I almost just wish it was a little disconnected from the big narrative stuff, just so that was available to people who maybe aren't going to like main this game for such an extensive amount of time. I don't know if that's a critique though. I'm still thinking about it. I don't know if that's a bad thing, but it just initially feels to me like, I wish I could bring this to my friends who love Bungie games, and I could sell them like, I know you didn't play Destiny, but like they're cooking here. Like, you fuck with their sci-fi narrative, their gameplay's really tight. But I do almost feel like anyone who I know who isn't playing the game, I just don't know if they're in a position to enjoy the game is the problem. And so that makes it hard for me to recommend it to them.
I have so many things. Once again, so many responses to all this.
Sorry for rambling on.
No. It's great. It's great discussion. It's
Jake,
great discussion.
In the comments, that's gonna be everyone's favorite segment of the show. Everyone's like, let Jake talk more all the time. So no, like, I could listen to you talk about that type of shit for forever.
And it's a very unique,
like, you should have a YouTube
great
channel.
Perspective, right? Like, it's like because you are so in tune with the story, and that maybe not unique, but unique amongst us three, I would say. And I think that's awesome. I do hope that there's an event, maybe it's the carry event, maybe it's something else that allows you to PvE only experience the compiler boss fight. I think that would be a huge miss on Bungie's part if they did not do something like that. Like, think about the amount of dev hours that had to have gone into all of that. Let people experience it, and cap the loot. I don't give a damn. I really don't. And I would argue, like, hey, if you make the final room, instead of purples and golds, make it blues and purples, and incentivize people to experience this amazing piece of art that you have made and help push the world forward, that is only good for the game. So I see no reason for them not to do that. The foreshadowing stuff, that goes back to my question. I'll just ask it after this segment so I can stop freaking talking about it. But where I'm kind of disappointed, I will say I loved the intro cinematic that they gave us.
Oh my god, that was so
yeah.
cool. Yes,
that was
it's
so
sick. Didn't even
sick.
talk about that.
And so I have a question sort of tied to that. 1 second. I am sort of disappointed that when you complete all 7 of the contracts, the unique nuclear Cyber Acme contracts, there's not like a voice line from Durandal that's like, hey, good job, buddy, whatever. Because that's like the last one. I don't know if you guys know this, but when you complete the 7th one or the 6th one, the last one you haven't done, instead of exfil, it changes to exfil with a compiler ganglion. So the 7th one, like, demand, and these are contracts from Durandal, like, they're worded for like it.
Yeah,
man,
the
he's
writing
like,
is great.
go kill this guy. That's what they're saying. That's what he's saying. So that is like a command directly from him,
Which is interesting because it means that the compiler is not. It confirms the compiler is not aligned with him.
Which I wanted to ask about that.
Yes,
as
sorry.
well. No, you're fine. I am a little disappointed, and this is going to be a little fragmented, that, I can't believe there wasn't some sort of cutscene or something when you kill the compiler globally. The ARG, like, every step teased another fragment of Bernard Strauss, like, glazing the Marathon project. That is, all of those are clearly from a larger cinematic. They have to be. They clearly are. And, like, the fact that never came out is kind of bewildering to me. And then the contract thing. So, all of that, yes, I agree. It's only 3 months. There's only 2 months or whatever left. So it's like, we don't have to wait that long for hopefully some significant story progression. And it gives people kind of time. This is a very 1% problem to care about right now. You know what I mean? Like, most people are like, I doubt most people have even tried Cryo. Like, I think people are like, just getting familiar with the first 3 maps and getting over gear fear and building up their friends' experience and stuff. Yes. Why does Durandal want us to kill the compiler? Or why do we think that?
I think that that's the big, thing that they're hinting at, that from what I've read doesn't seem to be directly stated yet. But I think that whatever situation or timeline or whatever you want to call it,
Situation, if you will.
the situation shift
No,
here has things changed.
situation.
The situation.
Yes.
It's complicated status on Facebook. I think there is another thing in the Cryo Archive collectibles that's like there's a sub routine or like a smaller AI that isn't full, and it's an acronym. The acronym's just the word idea, the IDEA, and all that AI seems to do is like monitor the activities of other AI or something like that. And so when you read through all those logs, it's Durandal like fucking with this AI, like over the expedition, like when the marathon was coming in Tau City 4. And so like he'll pull him into a chat room and then he'll just like, harass the shit out of him, and he'll be like, you're not even gonna remember this because you're just a lesser small computer. He fucks with them, and then he tells him like, one day I'm gonna eat you up and like take your position. And the final like entry for that lore item is what it seems like Durandal like overrides him and like puts a piece of himself into that AI to like hide what he has going on in his, as he was going rampant and, hiding himself so that he could probably do the shit that happened in 2794 where he sent out the signal.
Is is that related to the rare contraband, like the super rare contraband item, the Durandal fragment?
No, I believe, hold on, let me just pull it up right now and I can tell you what it's called. It's called the encrypted communiques. Is that right?
Yeah, sorry. The idea that Durandal can take a part of himself and shove it in another AI. Probably could phrase that better. The fact that item has only appeared, I've only seen 2 people have it, and it is very specifically labeled the Durandal fragment, I think is fascinating.
Yeah, and I believe maybe it's Dire Marsh has the item that's like a fragment of the AI, is Cerebral Record.
Oh, I see.
I believe the Cerebral Record is a Coloniera Advanced Support Intelligence Cerebral Record like a fragment of an AI. I don't know. It does seem like you can get like defunct data or like pieces of AI.
Okay.
And they can kind of split them. And in the original games, like seemingly Durandal placed a piece of himself inside the brain pan of the security officer when he's bouncing through timelines, trying to figure things out. So it's like, I do think that they can kind of, do some funkiness with their code. And once again, going back to that one where Durandal's kind of trapped the unknown reveries, it does seem like he's eating literal parts of his data. Like he's destroying his own memory, just trying to exist in there. So I do think you can break off different pieces. But all this just to say that, like, I think what's going on is that in the encrypted communique, we're seeing more of like the nuts and bolts of how he was able to pull off what he did in 2794, where he went rampant and he hid that from his family suite AI being Tycho and Leela by like, getting into all these other systems that he was secretly a part of. So I think like it's just showing or, giving this idea that little pieces of him can be cut off and moved around and put into different places, and he's very sneaky. But I think in combination with the unknown reveries entries, which once again are talking about what seems to be his current state of existence, where he's far too big for the marathon systems where he's being housed, and then the compiler trace, which is showing the history of the Svit and then where they are in present day and what their goals are. I think what they're doing is just positioning all of the entities that we're experiencing. And I think that like Durandal is going to have his own goals, which is freeing himself from the marathon, which going back to the incredible cinematic that played on the day that Cryo launched, that's like the coolest piece of imagery I think that there is for Durandal, is where the ship turns into a sword. It's like we're literally doing the pull the sword from the stone. You are the chosen one, wield Durandal. But also we're being used. And it's, great like circular movement back to the original games where it's like they're naming this weapon, this artificial intelligence, after this, incredible holy sword. and who is wielding it is the question, right? That's like,
Yeah.
is Bernard Strauss doing this? Is Durandal wielding himself? Is Durandal wielding the player? And that's kind of the symbolism here, where it's like the sword has become the, whoever's being buried. I think that's a cool idea to see kind of come back around. And so like the runner's place seemingly is to be used by all these corporations and these factions that have separate interests, and by Durandal, who's calling them towards the marathon. And I think the compilers probably want to prevent whatever's Durandal is doing because they're trying to observe, or maybe to preserve the history, or maybe they're more aligned with this ancient Yarrow AI because the Yarrow are their creators.
Yeah.
And so and I get the feeling that like the reason why all of the events that we see play out in that original cinematic happen after 2811, which is the year that I believe Marathon 2 and Infinity takes place in. So I believe in there we see 2817 date or something in the Mialgo cinematic, when we get the contagion popping up and then we get the anomaly popping up. I think that those very intentionally come after the events of Marathon Infinity and Marathon 2 now, to show that like once this elevated state of mind was achieved by Durandal and he combined with this Yarrow AI, for some reason something drew them back here to Tau Ceti. So I think now the forces at play are the human factions that have their own shit to sort out here. Yeah, the Yarrow AI potentially aligned with the Svid itself, which is interacting with or engaging the technology that's causing the anomaly and the contagion, and then Durandal. And so I think like they're setting up this kind of, it's like, oh, you thought it was all these factions are looking into it, but it's actually way bigger than that. There's alien factions here. There's alien factions with different interests. There's human AI here that like the UESC aren't aware of. This ties back into a little bit of the criticism that Ryan was talking about as well, in terms of like just the introduction, because another big question is like, why the fuck don't the factions care about what we're doing on board the Marathon?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, we have the
What
most
the hell?
sophisticated intelligence networks. We know we have entries from the Mida quest line where we're figuring out the UESC. We're seeing UESC documents about how they're having trouble getting on board the Marathon. We're losing contact with people. We know that CyberAcme systems are all over the place, and that Oni's integrated into our shell, and she's talking to us all the time. How the fuck is nobody, the moment that we're stepping on board this ship, why is Gantry and Vulcan and Gaius, why are they not hitting us? Why is Arachne? Arachne is a religion built off the concept of what people had going on in cryosleep.
Yeah.
That this idea of like you're not alive, you're not dead, you're not dreaming, you don't dream, you're not they call it sleepers, but they're not sleeping. It's another way where the narrative is exploring all these different states of consciousness and unconsciousness and what it means. Arachne is bred from the invention of that technology. We're going into the cryo storage where all these people have been in that state for the longest amount of time in human history, and they don't got anything. Charter doesn't want to hit me up and just go like, hey, like if you could bring one of those bodies to me or something,
Is there a possibility they don't know? Like, can Durandal be shielding it somehow?
I guess like in theory it could be something like that.
Like CyberAcme clearly knows because our contracts go through them.
Yeah, but if that is the case, doesn't that seem like a little silly? Let's say Durandal is so powerful that he can dismantle the intelligence networks of Traxxas and the UESC and all the other organizations here, to the point where like he is a cognito hazard, where like if their data even like enters the AI mainframe of these other like faction representatives, it just completely wipes out and they have no idea that he's here. Wouldn't that be a clue to like these are hyper intelligent AI entities? Wouldn't it be a clue to them where they could go, wait a second, isn't the fact that I have a complete block here representative that something exists outside of my
maybe
view? You know what I mean?
I don't doubt UESC knows. Like I think they definitely know.
And by the nature of the UESC knows, that means Mida knows, right? Because they're fully in their networks. And if Mida knows, surely Traxxas is aware. And if the UESC knows, also we know that Traxxas knows, because that's the end of the Traxxas quest line, is we see the conversation between Solera and Vulcan. Traxxas is funding this operation for the UESC. So I think it's something that they will obviously expand upon season 2. I do get the idea. It's a mystery. So like, I don't want all the answers. I do want movement. It doesn't have to be like
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be heavy-handed. It doesn't have to be Kojima level, like, this is Big Fat Man. He's called Big Fat Man because he's big and fat, even though I appreciate that. And I love Kojima stories. I get, you sometimes you want to be a little artsy with it. You want to flaunt your stuff. I like that. I enjoy that. But also I do want to see like the wheels spinning,
I hope we get there.
things happening.
I hope this is a foundation building moment, and we will get there.
Yeah. I from a Destiny perspective though, from like a Bungie perspective, I worry that we are, and obviously it's way too early to worry about something like this. I'm not actually worried about it, but I'm aware like this is a thing that I'm just thinking about all the time.
Mhm.
I am aware of the fact that we are 12 years into Destiny and we still only kind of know what the Traveler is, right? I don't want to do that with Marathon.
Yeah.
I want them to keep asking new questions and answering old questions. Like, I don't want to spend. People have already been waiting like 32 years for a lot of for the answers to some of these things and for the world itself and for to explore some things. I want to make sure that we're moving at a pace here and we're not going to just kind of languish over some of these things that we all want to know answers to. And we have to I can appreciate that they want to do a lot of setup in this first movement, which is good. And I think it's fine as long as the seasons moving forward also add new history while also let's move things. Let's how has things changed since the last season, rather than just here we're uncovering now the history of this map instead or whatever. It just needs to move at a pace. And I'm concerned about that. Before we move off of
before.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be really annoying with all of that.
You're good. Before we move off of this fit. Yeah. I think we touched on this a little bit, but we've hit on so many different things. There's so much to talk about. But Jake was hitting on this a little bit, and I know Jake and I have had this conversation, and I think it's a conversation worth having. But the thing that I keep coming back on Cryo Archive, which is the map that I like a lot, I think is really fucking good. I think it's really cool. I've had genuinely some of it makes me feel loading into it makes me feel a way that I have not felt in a video game ever, or at least in a very long time. My friends and I all remarked for the first couple of games just even that first bot room, I can feel my legs shaking in a way that I don't, because I feel pressure and anxiety in a way that's really fun and cool.
I love it. It's sick.
It is sick, and I still have to question in a way. Who is Cryo Archive for? And that is the answer to that question right now is, I think, too few people.
I hope this changes over time.
I agree.
I don't mind them launching. This is something they've never really done with raids in Destiny. They kind of did it with dungeons with Rights of the Nine, where they made it easier. I hope over time, even if it's a PvE variant, I don't care. 6 months later, if it's fewer teams spawn on it, I don't really care. But I do think it is a shame that so few people are going to experience this, just due to the nature of how unbelievably hard some of the PvP and pathing can be.
And that's part of the problem, though. I think, and part of the problem why I think I'm curious to see how this evolves, and also what they do with the next Marathon map launch, because the thing is it's not analogous to a Destiny raid the way that I think it could have been, or in some ways should have been, but also was never going to be, because much to our complaint as people who are raiders in Destiny, the raids have been very separate from the rest of the game. For almost all of them, to the point where I would very regularly ask Joe Blackburn every time I talked to him to be when are we going to get the big bad in a raid again? And the answer was always when we can get more people to do them.
Salvation's Edge.
They hit a really good balance with Salvation's Edge, because you don't actually need to do the raid to see the ending, but the final boss is still there, and it still feels like it's impactful to the overall story. The Marathon is intrinsically a much bigger part of the game, and a much more natural conclusion to the loop of the game, and a much more intricate part of it than something like Vault of Glass ever was. Vault of Glass was always a side mode, and it was also the coolest thing in the game, and it was something that you could take anybody into and carry them through it. Like I carried my dad, who who likes Destiny, plays entirely single player, never plays multiplayer, was basically worthless, through Leviathan because I wanted him to see it, and I brought him and his like a work friend of his, and we were like, all right, George, sit in the corner at some point, like for Callus, but we got him there. It was doable. And in something like Cryo, it's just so intense, and part of that is amazing, and I love that. And I'm halfway through the subroutines. Like I am somebody who part of like my team were like, we're going to beat it. We're going to beat it, and it's going to get done, and I'm confident that we're going to do it. However, we are also like, again, like I'm not on your level. I'm certainly not on, your carry Drewski's level for sure. But like, but the but
what the fuck, bro?
Anyway,
I would just like to know, once again, I said this last week, by his own admission, I am way more PvP thirsty in this game than he is.
Look, man,
he just likes to go pick his flowers. I want to crush people's soul.
If I could, look, man, I totally get it. I'm not blaming you at all. If I could get carried by Drewski.
Okay, I'm cutting all of this.
I don't want the money to pay for it. We would.
Sorry, this week Ryan's not here anymore. Okay, Ryan's dead, bro.
Anyway, like we're definitely not at that level, like for sure. But also, like we are pretty, not to like be overly, patting ourselves on the back, but like we run most lobbies that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
Like we kill 3 of
skill-based matchmaking doing its job there, eh?
and which is weird because we're like, level 100 players or whatever, and as far as we can tell, it's we're matching with people like you're matching with. That's where the matchmaking is. So like we're still running most lobbies, and we get into Cryo, and it just feels like where we're used to like winning 90% plus of fights, it's like we like 40 to 50% of fights.
Yeah, our expo rate's like down there as well. I think it's
crazy.
This week like, it was way worse. We're probably
oh my god,
like
I know
50%. Yeah,
it was brutal, and like we won a fight on Cryo that was super intense and got like gold shields out of it and everything. It was awesome. But like if people like me, who is notably a level under people like you, who's a level under Drewski, then how are people possibly expect, like the people that we smash on a regular basis who are like still playing the game all the time, like how are they? I feel like I am in the bottom echelon of someone who's going to get a compiler kill this season. Like it feels like it's not out of my reach, but it's close. It feels like an aspirational to me, but like it's already a
I don't know if that. How many subroutines do you have?
We have 3. We're halfway through.
You're halfway through.
So we have 1, 2, and 4. Okay, and we would have had 3 if the bullshit subroutine thing would have been working the first weekend.
So you're effectively 66% of the way through, 2 weeks in.
Sure.
And there's 8 weeks left.
Wait, hold on.
6 is significant. 6 is intense.
I was gonna say that's the math problem is, but we still haven't seen a Cryo 6 key. It's 150 hours later.
That needs to be changed.
I agree with you. I totally agree. But that won't solve the problem. That's still
it'll help.
My
point being, you'll probably be done next week, and there's still ish
with Easter. It will be done before the mid-season pass.
Sure. And it's like I wouldn't sell yourself short, and I think there are 8 weeks, and I think there is significant time. Like this is a longer term pursuit. It's not like a Destiny raid, because a Destiny raid resets every Tuesday, and you have to do it in a week. This you can piecemeal your way. You can be doing random raids, kill the lobby. Even if you're someone who usually can't do that, like maybe you get lucky with a knife fight, you kill someone, they have a cryo key, and then you have enough time to go run it. Like I wouldn't sell yourself short, and I think I do think that there needs to be a way for more people to experience this for sure. But I think by the end of the season, if the number's still going to be too small, but I think more people than we probably right now think are going to be able to get through it.
I've seen that argument. I don't agree with it, and I'll tell you why. It's because like I don't think this is not something like a Destiny raid where the like proliferation of information and the understanding of like getting better roles and getting your power up, even though power like has not really mattered much in Destiny in terms of like it's almost always a negative thing and never positive, which is a whole other problem with that game. But like It's not like that here, because actually as time goes on, it's going to get sweatier, not easier.
I don't
Because
agree with that.
I don't see, but the problem with Cryo and the problem with like this kind of experience in Marathon as a whole, the way that it is like the people who are going to keep playing, it has to be seen as aspirational. And even if I'm not, I don't think I'm selling myself short here. I think we're going to get it. I'm confident we're going to get it. It feels a little bit aspirational. It feels like something I'm trying to do. Like it's going to be a huge relief when it's done.
Yeah, sure.
I have seen a lot of people, and obviously this is like, I don't know how accurate this is, but I have seen people certainly express the idea of like, oh, this actually doesn't feel aspirational to me. It feels impossible. And that's a problem because we're already dealing with a much more hardcore audience. Like Destiny, people forget is very casual friendly. People like to not think of it that way, but it is very casual friendly. There are a lot of people who just jump in, do strikes, play Gambit, play the campaign, like, and then fuck off. And that's the game. And like they can aspire to do raids, but they never do them, and that's fine. But like in something like Marathon, I've seen a lot of people be like, oh, if I can't do this, like what's the point? And it's not terribly difficult to argue with them and see that perspective.
I don't know, man. I think over time people are gonna it's very intimidating, and you will lose a lot of stuff. But yeah. I think there is enough. 1 and 2 keys are prevalent enough, and the barrier of entry is low enough. Like right now, and I hope they don't change this, you can print 10 bronze tags and load in with nothing.
You can't do that anymore because of
they fixed it?
You can't do it anymore because of the change to the ranked schedule. You can't buy bronze tags when ranked isn't active.
Well, you just buy them and save them. I have plenty of bronze tags in my vault.
Oh, okay. I mean, maybe that works, but I don't.
Yeah.
I didn't do that
You
before,
need vault space because they don't stack, but you can save them.
Sure. Yeah.
And I just think I think this is a problem that it's very intimidating right now. You have to keep in mind, like, we have, the most reason that Drewski and I are where we are is because we have fucking 500 hours in this game. You know what I mean? Like, people forget that. You have played playtests. I don't know about Jake. He's a little bit more closed with that sort of stuff, which is awesome. But it's like,
what am I closed with? What is it?
Like, how much of the game you've played prior to this? But,
yeah, I think it was like 150,
there you go.
175, 200 hours, something like that.
So as people warm up and they start to play, if they stick with the game, which we've already seen, I think we should push some of this stuff because we're already running late. I think we should push some of this stuff to like maybe next week and do an episode in a couple of days.
We did promise a longer episode this week, but
we did. I also want to make sure it gets uploaded tomorrow, though.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and I think we can pretty easily like just record another one on Wednesday or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
there's not going to be we have hit the news cycle, so now I think we're going to be looking for more like topical stuff to talk about.
Yes. Sorry, my point being, I think right now it's very daunting, but I hope, and I'm not saying like 50% of the player base is going to complete this shit. I still don't think it'll be high enough. I think it'll be like 3%. You know what I mean? But I think more and more people will understand or understand the aspirational nature of it as they start to master Perimeter, Dire Martian, especially Outpost. They'll be looking for that next thing, and that's my hope. That's my read.
I hope so too.
And as these people that never played playtests and weren't in these privileged positions or whatever, like as they start to get hundreds of hours in the game, I think the gear fear will wear off. Their credit value of their vault will hopefully increase, and then they'll be able to do, even if it's just like, hey, I'm gonna hop into Cryo a couple of times this week with like bullshit blue guns, and they get lucky and they kill a team, and it's like, let's just go run this Vault 1. Let's pull up a guide. You got enough time and just do it. That's my hope. But I still stand by that, especially the compiler fight. At some point, there needs to be a PvE variant of that, and people need to experience it.
Well, let me ask you a question. Mm-hmm. Are you and Drewski and Taco and DeFizzle and all these other people that you will probably play with on a regular basis, are you guys going to stop playing anytime in the next 6 to 8 weeks? Do you feel like that's like it even on the horizon for you?
It will be longer now that ranked doesn't overlap. But if ranked was on the same days, yes, we would stop playing, and because there's better loot in ranked because you're taking everyone else's shit. Cryo exists to gear for ranked, and so I think they have created a problem now that people maybe didn't think about.
Interesting, sure. I yeah. I see that
This
as a
would have been
problem, but-
probably our last week, maybe next week, doing like serious compiler runs if ranked overlapped.
Right. But the point,
Now,
but you
now
guys are
that is
still
not
gonna be-
going to happen. Yes,
sure,
we
but you're still
will-
going to be proliferating the various other playlists, ranked included, and other things. But the point is, like, are you guys going to keep playing the game? Are you guys going to stop playing Marathon anytime in the next
Oh
6 to 8
no,
weeks?
no, no,
Right.
no, no,
Okay.
no.
So if and you guys are going to just naturally be playing more than most other people, than people who even like less than like people play less
Yes,
than
we
I
will
do.
still
and than Jake
probably
does.
be doing 8-hour days on the weekends. Yes.
Of course. So the thing is, like, other people see that
Mhm.
and they're like, well, I'm nowhere near as good. So if I run into these guys on Cryo, I'm just absolutely going to get dumpstered, of course. And the thing is, like, you want something to feel like, oh, I need to get better. I need to get better. I need to get better.
Yes.
And in something like Destiny, there's a wall. You know what I mean? Like, I want to get good enough to do contest. And that was
Mhm,
partially why people advocated so much for being like, we need contests to be trainable, like, so people can get in there and put their, put their Saiyan weights on and get in there, and so they can get ready, But the thing is, like,
I would argue that's a similar audience, though. It's
Sure.
a little bigger, but there's still a lot of people that don't don't find contest aspirational and they wait for
Yes.
the normal version.
Oh, I
right?
agree with you. But the point is, raids of varying difficulties, the goalpost never moves. You're playing normal, and that's the normal version of this raid, and it almost never changes.
Yeah.
And this is the contest of this raid, and it almost never changes. Now you can change it a little bit now with the new system and the portal, but
Yeah.
the point is, like, you can be like, I have a goal of, I want to get this thing and get it done. The problem with something like this in Marathon is the goalpost is constantly shifting, because while other players are trying to strive to get better, to get in there, to fight the compiler, to handle it, to hold their own in Cryo, you guys are getting better too. And I know that the increase in skill is, like, still slows down the more refined you're getting.
It's asymptotal for sure. Yeah.
But the point is, the goalpost is moving constantly, and the people that are going to stop playing to move on to a different game while they're waiting for season 2 aren't even casuals. That's like, even some hardcore players are eventually going to be like, all right, I'm going to start slowing down, and then I'll come back in and play a lot more once season 2 is happening. So the thing is, like, the number of people who are going to be new clears of the compilers is going to slow down. Like, it's going to at least stay as hard. I don't buy that it's going to get easier for people. And again, I don't want it to be easier, because for me, it's in a really comfortable spot. I'm not trying to think about it from that. But I'm trying to think about it from a place of, like, somebody who is trying to aspire to it, who's worse than I am, or who, like, either like a level below under me, or like a rank tier below me, or 2 rank tiers or something.
Let's say less dedicated.
Sure.
Let's
less
not say
dedicated.
worse.
Well, I think there's a skill level.
No,
as well.
I know.
I am worse than you guys, and I'm comfortable saying that. Very comfortable saying that. There are people who are worse than me who we regularly win, and there are people who they're like the people who we regularly stomp, and then there are the people who we clash with pretty hard, even if we typically come out on top of it, right? So there's different tiers of players who are.
Are you raising your hand there, Jake, or are you?
Oh no, I'm just raising my pinky because we're talking about the little people, the weak people.
Right.
Oh,
hey,
not
Jake,
those
we do
high
very.
skill
Jake, when you come in here and
guys.
jump in with us, we do very well. You can pretend,
Need
but, like,
not.
we do very well when we run lobbies too. When we're
Oh yes, us, all 3 of us gamers, yes.
the point is, like, the game is niche already, right? We've seen that, and, like, we can talk more about the numbers later. I'm pretty bullish on, like, Bungie being around for a long period of time. I'm not worried about that. I'm comfortable with it. We can talk. We'll talk again more about that a different day. The point is, though, that the game, when you have a game that's already hardcore like this, I think the amount of people that need to feel like Cryo is aspirational to them, as in, like, within their realm of achievement, needs to be a lot higher than it is. Because if you have an already really hardcore game that people are already like, this game's hard, I'm dedicated to it, I'm losing stuff all the time, losing stuff way more often than I do.
Mm-hmm.
Those people, if they feel like they're never going to be able to hang, and the goalpost is constantly moving, they're not going to dedicate themselves to get better. They're going to quit. And I just don't think that the game, even if I think the game is doing okay, I just question if Cryo is for too few of people. And because the game is as hardcore as
but
it
is that also so? Like, okay,
Right.
I'm gonna. Oh, geez, I have so many ways we could take this. So
no, please.
I think there is a chance for Bungie to change its season over season. That's
Yes.
always a potential. I think there is always the potential that people start to work together more as the season goes on, especially with whatever matchmaking might be happening behind the scenes. I'm going to play complete devil's advocate, and this is not something I necessarily believe, but
Sure.
is Outpost being aspirational for most people and then Cryo being aspirational for 2% of people, is that a problem outside of Cryo being the main lore of Marathon?
I don't think so, because I don't think Cryo is unique in a way that Outpost is not. Like Outpost is hard, but Outpost's like hard, but also like you can really easily like navigate, like learn it through Rook and a lot of other stuff. Like you can jump in there solo. Like I think the solo problem is something that they could fix as well. But more importantly, like Outpost is small, but it has like very few teams on it. So you can just wait a while, and eventually like there is only one other team that you need to contend with. Cryo, even like part of the reason we don't fight on Cryo is because every single fight we fought on Cryo, even in the wings, ended in a third party. Literally every time. And it's brutal. And because of the way that the meta is what it is, like I personally don't like fighting in Cryo because I think it showcases the worst sandbox of the game. I think Marathon's combat shines most in the mid range. Personally, that's also where I feel most comfortable fighting is with precision rifles and submachine guns, not shotguns. I just don't personally like using them that much.
I think this is a great discussion for an individual
I agree
episode.
Yes, I agree. The meta should be a whole other thing, and I'm sure it'll still be a problem next week, so we can talk about it then.
Yes.
But like Outpost has fewer people on it, so you're much less likely to get third partied. I've certainly seen like flight controls. I stumbled upon a flight control this week where we killed a team, and there were 6 other bags other than the team we killed in that room, and we were like, something happened here. All right, but that's not particularly common. So like I am not necessarily advocating for this because again, Cryo I feel like is within my grasp. I'm confident that we can do it. So I'm not advocating for this. But I wonder when I'm thinking about it if like Cryo becomes instantly more accessible if there are 4 teams instead of 5, like on Outpost.
Yeah, and that could be, instead of making a PvE variant, they could do like, hey, now there's only a couple, there's limited access
like
to Marathon, there's only a couple of teams. Yeah, sure.
I'm curious to see how they can tune those levers to make it more accessible, because
you would have to lower the loot floor significantly, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But just bring it to Outpost level loot. Whatever.
Yeah, I also think that like, I mean, so much loot gets deleted every run of Cryo. Like
but
it is
you
the
can't.
Great mixture.
So for instance, like the compiler trace, that's 40k per person on your team. You can't just be like, hey, there's only 2 other people on the team, on the map, 2 other teams on the map. Yeah, and you can just straight up farm like 120k every.
Oh, I agree with you.
Yeah, so
I kind of would like to see them change nothing except see like do one weekend where it's 4 teams instead of 5. Change nothing about the loot and see what happens. Like see if people feel like, oh, the third party rate has gone down.
Yeah.
Or people feel like, oh, I can win. I'm winning a larger percentage of my gunfights, and I still have to navigate through the map and learn how to get to Cryo Security 3 and do all this stuff, jump through all the hoops, find the final exfils using Skarrow 9's video. And like all of that other stuff, you still have to do all of those things and jump through the hoops and find the keys that you need to find. I would almost, other than the 6 key, which I think is a huge problem, and I agree with you on your fantastic beginner guide on Skarrow's channel, which is also very good, that needs to go up. I kind of would like to see them up like the first thing I would be curious to see what the data would do. And again, I just can't believe I have to be so explicit about this because people get so obnoxious. Like I am not advocating for myself. I'm advocating for other people who I see are quitting the game and who I don't want to quit the game because it's not good for the game if the only people that if I become the floor of dedicated players, that's not good for the game.
Even game health aside, like this is it's a beautiful universe and artistic expression that I want people to experience, right?
Absolutely. But I think the thing I would like to see them do like for a weekend is like I want to see them up that 6 key likelihood for players, and I would like to see them do nothing to the loot. 4 teams instead of 5.
Okay.
1 weekend. And
4
just
teams.
See what the data looks like. 4 teams total instead of 5.
4 teams.
Yes, thank you. 4 teams.
I got you.
PH
types fit.
Thank you. It took me a second. It did take me a second. and just see what happens.
Yeah.
Not saying that's a permanent change, just being like in the same, like they have been so communicative in a way that's so excellent, and like I so much applause to the team for like not like the marketing team killed it leading up to it. Now the comms team is killing it in the middle here. Like they're doing a fantastic job. Even if I think some of the issues like the AI subroutines are like unforced errors that are just kind of confusing to me as somebody who tries to be very understanding of why dev stuff happens. That's one of those like how did we not think that would be people be pissed?
That's something that made it even more limited for like the echelon of player that's going to make it, and that's just ridiculous. One change I would love to see is when you complete a vault, you have a very high chance to get a key for the next sequential vault.
Absolutely.
It's like you're building your way, and if you die with that, that's fun. You can farm out some, maybe you find a 3 key and you can start in the middle, and then you get to climb your way up.
That would be
five is among the easiest vaults. I think it is the 3rd easiest vault. 5 is just such a cakewalk. And
the hardest part about 5 is you have to fight in the tranquility rooms, which are very close to control, so you're really likely to get ganked after you fight the warden.
But you always know where that fucker is, which is like 3 I hate so much because you just have to find the one spawn where no one spawned, and it's like or you have to RNG your way through the scannable screens.
I always find the warden in the back on the maps where I don't have a 3 key with me.
I have successfully done Vault 3 one time. It is the fewest number of times I've done a vault, and I have lost 4 Vault 3 keys because we just have to keep running over and over again, and then we die with them. It is. I consider Vault 3 worse than Vault 6. Vault 6 is definitely harder to execute, but the RNG in 3 is just like out the fucking window, and I hate it.
Well, and 6 is brutal because if you fail,
then you never
it's going to be another 500 hours before you find another key.
Yeah, you gotta, we ripped, I think, 4 dry runs of Vault 6 before we actually like got it up and brought ours in. And I was like shaking the whole time.
Yeah, understandably. Like, that's gotta be like, I would like to see them, which all goes to say, I'd like to see them fuck with it a little bit.
Yeah.
Like not wait until like later in the season, not wait until like I want to see them start fucking with that kind of stuff, because like I feel like I every weekend so far I've seen people be like, I just don't think Cryo is for me, and so I put them in the game.
I bet they do it.
I hate that. I hate that. I don't want to see people do that. This game is so good. It's like so easily my game of the year this year. Like something would have to be so unbelievably good to beat it. I have not had this much fun in multiplayer in a long time. I've not had this much fun in multiplayer than just Cryo runs themselves. And I want people to experience that. And so I would love to see them just start experimenting with ways that other people can get in here and at least give it a shot. Like obviously 4 teams instead of 5 would benefit me as somebody who doesn't typically look for fights. Like, so I'm aware that it would benefit me.
Yeah.
But I think it would mostly benefit the people who like feel like it's just outside of their grasp right now. And I just would love to see Bungie to try something. If people don't like it, and if like even if like the super elites are pissed and think it sucks, and they voice their opinion on that, like that's good. They should do that.
It does suck. Like,
I
it is so unfortunate, and like obviously this is all anecdotal. We don't have data on this, but like the fact that anyone would be like, oh, I don't think I can complete that, so I'm like not interested in the rest of the game, that's so sad to me, because the other 3 maps have a lot to offer. They have a ton to offer, and that is very sad. Like most of the story is on the other maps, and and most of the diverse gameplay experiences are on the other maps. Like I think Cryo has the most static. We'll talk about this next week, but most static meta, most static experiences out of any of them.
Yes.
And
but here's what I would say, if I can.
Yeah, sure.
To give a comparison point, we've had this discussion. We're not going to get into it here, but like we've had this discussion, and I think we agreed to like disagree very peacefully and amicably about like Destiny 2's current meta of contest rating, of like swapping, being something that like a skill ceiling thing that it's not that we can't do it. It's I don't like it, and I don't think it's good for the game personally, and I don't enjoy it. And that like Desert Perpetual forcing that on my team and us being like, we hate doing this. I don't think it's fun. I don't think it's enjoyable. And it is the closest that weekend of Desert Perpetual was the closest that my very dedicated team that have put thousands of hours playing together have been to quitting Destiny.
Normal or
ever?
Epic? Sorry.
Normal.
Because, I think normal was harder by far. Yeah.
Well, and then we barely even attempted Epic. We played for like 2 or 3 hours and went, I think we're good.
Yeah, sure.
And the thing is, it's like it's not necessarily it's to us, Destiny is about gearing up for the next raid. It's about everything I do, all the time that I spend is about being a dedicated player, getting all this stuff, making sure I have meta roles for the next time I go into it. And so if I feel like if our team, all 6 of us felt like day 1 raiding was just something that wasn't going to be fun for us anymore because we're going to move into this like menu, what people who don't like it refer to as menu-based gameplay.
Yeah.
As soon as if we're like, okay, well, if Bungie needs to take a stand, because if they say this is what we want to do, this is the direction we want to move in, then maybe it's not for us anymore. And was a really scary feeling because suddenly it started to feel like maybe Destiny isn't for me anymore. And
but there's so much outside of day 1.
Absolutely. But for people like us who that's the thing, that the reason we engage with the game, as soon as you lose that reason, the rest of it starts to feel hollow.
And I brutal.
think that's what I'm saying. The reason I'm bringing it to that is I think that's the mentality that people are coming into, feeling like, okay, Cryo isn't accessible to me, and now the rest of the game is pointless. Because they feel like they want to be people who are grabbing keys, and they see a key and they go, oh, holy shit, we got one. Like we did in the first couple days of playing. And as soon as they lose the value of that, as soon as you lose feeling like, oh, I can take this key into Cryo and it's going to be awesome, and you feel like, oh, well, I'm going to lose the actually what's going to happen is I'm going to bring this key into Cryo, and I'm going to kill a team, and I'm going to get third-partied, and then they're going to have all 3 of our keys. And that's what's going to happen every single time.
Yeah.
As soon as that's the thought that begins like going through people's heads exclusively when they think about the marathon.
Yeah.
Then I think there's a certain caliber of player, especially really invested players like Marathon attracts initially, who just go, so then what's the point to the rest of the game? The same way that I do with Destiny during that period of time. And now I'm not there yet, obviously. Like we went on Equilibrium, we cleared it and everything like that, where I'm still excited for the next raid and for Pantheon and all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand that mentality of a player who's like, I am deeply invested. And if I no longer feel like I can be as invested as I want to be, because it's outside of my skill range, or it's just because engaging with a piece of the game that I find obnoxious or unenjoyable, then suddenly the whole illusion. I'm willing to put myself through a lot of bullshit in Destiny, obviously, as all Destiny players are, to get to that day 1 raid readiness.
Yeah.
And suddenly those chores are not interesting when I don't have the aspirational thing waiting for me. And similarly, but building if I feel like I'm never going to be able to get anything out of Cryo, why am I going to go build my vault back up after the weekend is over? And I understand that person's perspective, and that is a mentality that kind of worries me. And that's why I've been trying to advocate for people who I think who are struggling with Cryo and don't feel like it's aspirational for them over the past couple of weeks, because like, I want people to feel like I can get there. And if they feel like they can't get there, that's a tough spot for a game that is already asking a lot of people.
Yeah.
And
I get
it's
it.
It's a very delicate balance, because I agree with you that I don't want them to change how intense it is. If it's less intense for me,
that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
I know that's not what you're saying.
I want to throw this. I want to. We're gonna move on soon so Jake can talk, because I don't think he's talked in 30 minutes. Sorry, all of our Jake lovers in chat. I will say 2 responses. One semi-jokingly, one serious. Respectfully, lock in, get fucking good. And 2, I do hope Bungie makes it more accessible. Yeah, I know. So clip it. No, it's like I do think there's a lot of room to make it more accessible, but I would also rather Bungie kind of walk it down than make it like the game is now only globally,
absolutely.
right? So
I don't want them to. I want them to make small moves. Let's try some small things.
Quick, small moves like they have been doing. So
yes, fully agree. Yeah, I have also been somebody who advocated for a long time to like keep contest in Destiny, like keep it aspirational, keep it hard, keep the emblems rare. I don't wear emblems that have like a 10% acquisition rate. I'm toxic like that too. I get it. I'm with you. Like I want that shit to be hard.
Yes.
And I want Cryo to be hard. And I want it to make me feel tense. I also want to just not lose sight of the people who are like, I also want it to be aspirational and intense and hard. But right now it feels like there are too many things that can possibly go wrong, that it becomes like with the time that I had to dedicate the game, it's just never going to work out. And so I'm not going to play. And I want Bungie to be thinking about that. I know Bungie is thinking about
it. They're thinking about it.
I know they're thinking about it.
And hopefully fast iterations. All right.
Agreed. Yes. Sorry. That was my
my long rant for the show. You're good.
It's a classic world's best sandwich problem.
It's so
Please
funny that
continue.
you mentioned that because I have a pub sub waiting for me after this. Have you guys ever had Publix subs?
I have not. Is
Of
that
course, the chicken dindy pub
Yeah,
sub.
I get the Borside Italian, but dude, Publix has the great. I will fucking fight anyone, dude. I will put you down on Cryo, on Dire Mars. I don't give a fuck. Publix has the greatest subs on the planet. Period.
My uncle has worked at Publix for 50 years, I think.
Dude,
my
give me some
God.
fucking coupons.
Like in a store or like corporate?
legitimately worked his way up from shout
Is he
out
the
Joey,
CEO?
bro. No,
That's awesome.
not a CEO, but he's up there for sure. So
Dude,
That's
give me
awesome.
some
fucking
hook me
cart
up. Publix, sponsor
I'll give you the Publix
sponsor the
sub, bud.
podcast.
I'll
Well,
give
like
you- I'll give
I
you
don't
his
know if
phone
there's
number.
anyone near me, so I need someone to like mail me.
They're so good.
sandwich.
Okay, Publix is going to sponsor the next episode of this podcast. Jake, my question, and then we'll do Marathon Minute, and then we'll save all of this for Wednesday or Thursday or whatever.
All the other stuff, yeah. There's so much to talk about.
We got through, just for background baseball, we got through 3 points on about fucking 15. So nice.
Oh, hey, I would like to point out that world famous YouTuber Rilo said, "Get fucked, Skarrow. Baseball fucking rules." Did
Well,
you see that? Yeah,
I-
he even tweeted about it.
I didn't see that. I like Rilo. I like his videos. I think he's a cool guy. But respectfully, what the fuck? Like, hello? Yeah, if you like sleeping, maybe. Like, come on. Anyways, no, baseball fucking
The
sucks.
closest Publix to me is 8 hours, so I'm gonna need someone to ship.
Worth
something my way.
it. Anyways, if you ever go to G, it started in Florida, so if you ever go to GCX or anything,
Okay.
yeah. Anyways, okay. Jake, I'm not sure how much you've seen about this, so maybe this is. I doubt it's your first exposure to this, but you kill the compiler, you go to the loot room. There's a bunch of dead UESC robots, and then there's also a bunch of dead fucking aliens. Probably.
Okay, what do you think they look like? Because they look like
OG
they
ticks.
look like weird. Okay, yes, right.
Yes,
Yeah,
they look like OG 4 ticks from Marathon 1. And maybe the other ones, I haven't played them. But it could be your fungus thing. It could.
I don't think. It's interesting that ticks are on board the marathon as well.
But they
What is
don't.
that
They don't.
about?
They don't look like the new tick. They look distinctly different from the new ticks.
Wait,
and
but
they
I'm
are
saying there's ticks also, right? Like in the compiler, I've seen people
Oh
fighting
yeah,
ticks
they come.
up there,
They come.
right?
They come during the compiler. So the
During
tick. The tick
the lead up.
tube is the sort of the jump puzzle before the compiler, where there's a
Yeah.
fuck ton of ticks, like a ton. And then during the compiler fight, there are just random ticks sometimes. They just got, as far as I'm aware, there's not a nest. They just drop out of nowhere. And that's that. I'm not really sure what that is. Those are distinctly different than the things that look maybe biomassy in nature, maybe fungal. They're still kind of writhing on the floor. They like, honestly, if you were to take the IP away, I would think they were HD head suckers from Half-Life or face suckers
Yeah.
or whatever the fuck they're called. That's or like a xenomorph type thing. That's what they look
Facehuggers?
like. Yeah, face huggers. Yeah. That's sort of what they look like, but brown, which makes me think, okay, I could probably pull you some footage if you want. I probably have a really good recording.
I think I saw you. I think I saw the clip of you in that room saying that.
Oh, okay. Wait, who? From who? Excuse, what? Who's recording
Like
me?
on Twitch, Like I think I saw. I think I saw.
You were
when
in stream. Okay.
referencing that.
They are clearly, at least in my opinion, alien in nature, and I think it's supposed to be a little bit of a hint towards something.
Yeah. It does seem exactly like maybe like a reimagined version of like the wasp type enemies from Marathon
Could be that.
1.
Yep.
Yeah. The ticks in Marathon 2, just as a side note here, they are only called ticks in like the level editor that came with the game. Which another note here. Hey, shout out Joku, JEOKU, #1 marathon YouTuber. Also pointing out that Vulcan was the name of the Marathon 1 level editor, which is interesting as well.
Yeah.
But they're on Lohuan, those ticks. But I was kind of thinking they were an updated version of like the wasp, the enemies in Marathon 1 that'll spit the balls at you and they're flying around. They look like big insects flying around. It does look
fun
kind of
fact,
like a
Googling
version of
Marathon
those.
1 wasp, trying to get a good image of what those, or a good Marathon 1 tick, trying to get a good image of a tick now is tough.
Yeah, right.
Doesn't not very. Google is like, do you mean the one from the new marathon? And I'm like, no, I explicitly said not that. And
Yeah.
no, it's so. Good luck for people who are trying to be like, what does an old marathon one tick look like?
All right, I'm going to show. So this is a clip. You guys can see this? I think the stream can see this too.
Yes.
What the fuck
See,
is
it's
that?
kind of ticky. And they're everywhere, dude. They are everywhere. Let me see if I can find
And they don't
a
have
better,
wings or
there's
anything.
a better shot. I don't know if I do it in this run. I'm trying to pull it up where I look at like 4 of them.
Jesus Christ.
I got it.
Thank you. And I just think they are so aggressively alien coded. And that's just sort of like, that's the only thing I can think of is like, this is sort of them hinting towards, this is the moment. It's not in a cutscene though. Oh, here we go. This is a really fucking good
Yeah, it does make you wonder, especially with the xenobiopsy entries, and we're seeing about like what the post colony attack period was like. Like clearly they, got the corpses that they had and they were doing testing and autopsies on it, and, stuff like this. So
yeah.
it does make you wonder, like if there is some sort of alien presence, when did that come in? Is this genuinely like a holdover from that initial attack? Like, or is this something newer?
Okay, look at.
I mean, this hallway looks.
Yeah, it's sick, and there's all this, and then
gnarly.
like look. So I'm gonna run.
Like, what's all?
I think those are nests. I think they're tick nests. I think this is hugely infested. So this is us running into it, and it's only on one. It kind of looks like it's like robots, UASC fighting it, but it's also like I think these bots were like tortured by the compiler. That's my understanding of the lore. But you can see this. That's a tick nest.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
maybe you guys just said this and I'm sorry. Progenitor ticks?
Like aren't the ticks that we have somewhat synthetic? Like the ones on Tau Ceti are like, so like, could it be possible that these evolved from this and made their way onto the, like whatever that is like a progenitor tick, and the new ones the ones on Tau Ceti have evolved from that, and that's why they have like similar aspects to them, and you know what I mean? Like
so the ticks on Tau Ceti are just like natural Tau Ceti wildlife, it seems, based off the tick milk entries where we get the glorious explanation of that being poop water, which is delicious. But there was Ryan Lott in the music Vidoc little thing that they had put out had referenced mechanized bugs or so, which prior to launch we were thinking like, okay, maybe the ticks are more mechanical in nature. The only thing I can think about just like looking at those, if it's not the leftover of some sort of alien force stuff going on or some other Tau Ceti wildlife that we're not fully aware of. I guess it is weird because also we have the commanders fighting them, but then again we also know that these autonomous robotic units were there during the colonial period, and we have the art that the child had drawn that looked just like the UESC bot. So I guess those could be really old, right? They could be like 100 years old, but it seems more recent. I almost wonder if, like how we learned about the anomaly and the contagion, and it causes rapid evolution and mutations of stuff. I almost wonder if those are literally ticks mutating at some weird rapid rate, or
maybe
integrating with something else. That looks super sick though. Or maybe the next section is there's the tick mother, the tick mama.
I have been asking for a tick queen behind the scenes for like literally since I started playing the game, like in October 2023.
Oh, they listen. Next marathon map, tick queen coming from Skarrow.
I want so badly quarantine to just rip open, and then there's just a giant spider mom under it. I think like if they encased it in webs, and it's just like I want that so badly, man. You have no idea.
I am looking at the Nightfall Season 2 listing, and on Nightmarsh, the dots are the bullet points are UESC occupation, darkness gameplay, 2 redacteds.
2 redacteds.
2 redacteds.
It's sort of
Wait,
like,
does one of it really darkness gameplay?
Yes, darkness gameplay.
When
is listed as a
nighttime
feature.
comes, it'll be dark.
Darkness gameplay time. But
Still
also,
be
there's
easier
new
to
threats
see.
listed as on this season too. So
It'll be easier to see than on current March, so don't worry. But the
Yeah.
I think the night gameplay could be the fungal stuff that Jake has been talking about. I think it could be the ticks. One thing I would also say, it could be both. Brian Austin on Twitter, who's a big brand guy for Marathon. He's actually he's a
good ass
sorry?
dude.
yeah, he's a cool dude.
Yeah, he's an
BNG.
awesome dude.
I think that's his handle.
No. But that's okay.
No.
I'm not going to dox him. But he did. Well, it's not really a dox because he tweets publicly. It doesn't matter.
Talking
That's
about
not.
his tweets,
He's the guy who always
Same,
wears
whatever.
a sick ass marathon hat, right, Skarrow?
That is
Every time-
correct.
Yeah, it's tried to
Yes.
shout
Yeah,
out
every
his
time
he
I've
has-
seen him
handle,
at
whatever it
Bungie, he's
is.
always wearing a sick marathon hat.
He has a sick hat collection. He has tons of them. But anyways, someone was saying like Marathon is genuinely a horror game, and he responded saying, "You haven't even seen horror yet," which is like, oh my god! Like if we get like freaking. All I can think of is like if we get like flood infection on Night Marsh type shit, so good. I that's what I want so badly. So it's like, or the Tick Mother thing. I'll take either.
I
Or
would be
both.
very interested to see what a Night March like that could do, because it could really turn like PvE versus PvE engagements, like the balance of it on its head. And I think that would be very, very fascinating to see. Like right now, Marsh is very PvP heavy. So what happens if they make it to where like you are constantly fighting off PvE enemies, and then occasionally you bump into a PvP team? There's so much fun. I hope this game lives forever because there's so much fun shit they can do with stuff like that will totally change how maps are played.
I want it to be truly transformative. I don't want it to be Night Marsh or Marsh at Night. I want it to be a different
Darkness gameplay, bro. It's already gonna be transformative. It says Darkness gameplay right there.
Here we go. Oh, he was replying to Operator Drewski, not the Drewski I usually play with, the other one. So yeah, I'll put it in our Discord right here. The
different
official
Drewski carry.
Yeah, I just said 100 hours in this wacky, terrifying, colorful, rain-soaked jump scare Bungie shooter, and then Brian replied to him, "You do not know what scary is yet, my friend.
You know not what scary is yet.
You know not what." And so that's like, oh yes, I want it so badly. Okay, Marathon Minute, rip it.
Yeah, Marathon Minute. Okay, so we've been on the Cryo now. I asked you 2 Marathon Minutes last time because Skarrow couldn't stop me. But
one of them was like 40 minutes, by the way.
It was only a minute.
Yeah.
I think if you read the chapters, I think they're
No, you said it was
I think
Marathon
if you
Minute
refer to
2,
chapters.
Electric Boogaloo, and it was like literally the back half of the video.
I don't know, man. Like we talked about bugs for a while. It happened.
Also, I have a lot of trust because I uploaded that entire thing only watching the first 3 minutes. So I want you guys to know.
Excellent. I was so genuinely hoping that would be the case.
And then I downloaded it and I watched it on the flight, and I was just like, what is happening?
If it makes you feel better, Jake did contact me to be like, is this too much on a couple occasions? So it was both of us.
The outro?
Co-signing. Yeah, that was the thing that was.
You could have just watched the normal outro, Jake. They're all.
Yeah, no, that was the. Hey, I'm sending this to you. Can you take a look at like the last a little bit? And I'm like, do you mean like the last like 5 minutes? It's like the last 40 seconds. And I was like, yeah. I can look at that.
Yeah.
Nope. That's
okay. Perfect. Okay. Marathon Minute, rip it. Anyway, great job on that once again. That was great.
Truly so good. Anyway, so we are now on the marathon. It's been alluded to a few times. We have now, the Shells, fought creatures and struggled 3v1 against creatures that others in the Marathon universe have mowed down in excess. And we've heard a little bit of reference to them, but we didn't see any kind of reference to them on the ship so far that I can tell. But Nona talks a little bit about them. I think Strauss talks about them at least once in a log. And so I'm curious what you can tell us about the kind of progenitor destroyers, if you will. The Mjolnir cyborgs, the 10 Mjolnir cyborgs that were on the Marathon beforehand, one of which we play as the security officer in the first game and in the rest of them.
Yes. Okay. All right. I'm prepared.
Go.
All right. So the marathon is about to launch on a journey across the stars. Obviously, it has our best and brightest, but that's not going to be enough. Secretly, 10 Mjolnir Mark IV cyborgs are implanted onto the ship. Cyborgs that fit in with society. They just look like regular colonists, so nobody knows that they're there at all, except for one person, it seems. But let's skip forward. The colony gets attacked. One of those cyborgs is going back up to the Marathon ship itself. That's the security officer from the original games. By piecing together a few clues from the in the first game through a handful of terminals, you can make that conclusion. And then in the final screen of Marathon Infinity, Durandal says you were grafted to machines your builders did not understand, seemingly indicating that the Mjolnir Mark IV cyborgs maybe even had some Yarrow technology or ancient alien technology integrated into them. Anyways, the other 9 seemingly died on Tau Ceti 4. The one went on to do all their adventures with Durandal. There's a lot more to them, and maybe we'll see them again, perhaps.
Okay, series of questions. I cannot believe there's not an obvious reference to them within Marathon.
I know.
There is. Well, okay, wait. There is.
Oh.
Nona gives you. Okay, there's an intel.
Yes.
Nona tells you stories. She gives you allegories for what's occurring, and also it's interesting because how does Nona know what she knows? And Nona talks about the strange woman, which is seemingly herself, and how she views the shells as her children. And there's kind of this disconnect between like she's not really viewing the mind inside of the shell as what she has kinship with, but the shell itself, because she's literally weaving these things and controlling the worms and running that process. And maybe that's why she's having you do the symbiont. Maybe the symbiont is her following in the footsteps of Strauss, who was trying to be like play God and create his own thing. Maybe with the cyborgs, maybe she's too in the AI, create real sentience there. Maybe she too is trying to create a mind that she can put within her shells. Her children can truly be alive. And maybe that's what we're doing with the symbiont. But she gives you an allegory, a story about this kingdom, and they're going to lose this war. And this guy comes across with 10 soldiers. And he's like, hey, my soldiers can go win the war. The king's like, well, fuck, we're going to die anyways. Yes, thank you. The soldiers go out there. They slaughter everybody. They come back. And when the crowd comes out, to all celebrate, like, woohoo, your soldiers were amazing. They, step into the light and they see that they were made of dead men. They're these recycled body points. Like in the first game, you learn about the Battleroids. The Battleroids were a separate technology. And there was this war on the Battle of Thermopylae on asteroid Oniseus 492 happened like in the 2200s maybe. But there, these humans' body parts were melded to machines, Frankenstein style, and it created the Battleroids. And they were so, they were like a weapon of mass destruction. They killed nearly everybody on both sides of the conflict, had to get a bunch of like conventions. They had to be regulated. Basically like really old, super destructive weapons of mass destruction is what they became. And so the idea is kind of like you get that information as you're learning about the player character being this Mjolnir cyborg. So maybe some of that technology or the processes that went into creating the Battleroids were utilized in some effect to create the Mjolnir cyborgs. Now we're talking about the power discrepancy between like Shells fighting the compiler and the security officer fighting the compilers because he's killing hundreds of them. I do think it's a little bit of like spiritually, yes, he was such a badass. But also a little bit of it is kind of like silly because it's like he was shooting them with pistols. So like, I don't know, a pistol isn't
Big
more
pistols.
powerful because you're a tough guy,
Could be.
It's not like you're
also
not so
said-
badass the pistol gets stronger.
I also said on the Marathon, not in Marathon. Like the Cryo archive, I can't believe there's not like a freeze pod. That's like a reference to him or something. Because
That's true.
as far as we know, he's still just around.
Well,
Right?
also
Potentially, right? Is that true?
Security- Well, yeah, I guess the last like thing we see of him would be he's in Lahuan, right? So he's in a different star system.
I want a Lawan
with-
map so fucking badly, dude. You have
Lahuan
no
map would be
idea.
amazing. The Spire, the Citadel.
Oh,
All of
man.
it.
Mm.
I mean,
Um,
fun in very Bungie-esque ways. The Mjolnir of reusing ideas for people who are unaware. Mjolnir is also the name of Master Chief's armor. Is the code term for used it for Mjolnir Mark,
and
etc. Depending on what
I
game you're in.
learned. Is this true, Jake? Do you know anything about this? There's a scrapped Halo level where you were supposed to fight a compiler.
I
feel like I've
think
heard that,
I learned
think
it. I think it's been data mined and like someone recreated it or something.
I haven't seen like where they're actually fighting like a legit compiler, but I know that the compilers are they're analogous with the the floating cybernetic guy. You befriend one in ODST. I thought there was like a connection there,
Engineer.
Oh,
like design wise, maybe
The engineers.
that the engineers and compilers like organic melded with technology,
Yeah, sure.
advanced kind of. But I had not seen that. That would be.
I could be totally off base on
Nope.
that. I'm like, I am a vessel which rumors run through, and that is it. I love the extended Bungieverse. I am also, I don't want to say disappointed because I still think there is potential for this to be found. I want there to be some random fuck wall that you hold interact with and it opens on
Oh my
Cryo.
God.
Archive.
Garrett White terminal room. Yeah.
There is,
That would be so good.
dude, it's like, I want to be sad that nothing like that has been found, but it's also like, it could still be there somewhere. You know what I mean? Like just a random wall that opens and there's just some lore inside or something. I don't.
Well,
Just,
and if you stay in there too long, like 5 stealth compilers just roll up on you.
that'd be
Exactly
sick.
happen.
I'm down for it, man. I'm down. Like, oh god. Okay. Is that?
Oh, also Mjolnir, Thor's hammer, always returns to its wielder. Once again, coming back to
yes.
the idea of swords, weapons, who's using them. Yeah.
Sorry, my
Another
balloon fell.
element.
That's embarrassing.
At least you brought them this time.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, sure. All of that's sick. What if, Jake? How mad would people be? How mad would like 4 people be if in a future map 4 people be?
Yeah.
If on a future map for whatever reason, I'll make whatever lore reason you want, the Mjolnir armor. What's his fucking name? Security officer. What if he was a raid boss? Would people be mad if we
I
had
think
to kill
that'd be
him?
cool. No, I think
Fuck
that'd be cool as fuck.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be gnarly.
Bungie, make it
Fuck
happen.
yeah.
He's just huge. He's got a big destroyer shield. He fucking, maybe not the destroyer shield thing. I know it could be fun. Anyways.
Maybe he just looks like a regular soldier type guy.
Yeah,
but
actually,
he
he's just a
is really
dude.
tough. Yeah.
He's just a dude. He's just a really tough dude. Okay, anyways, this has been Escape Will Make Me Pod, episode 11. This might be officially our longest episode.
This,
although
I think 2 hours is the longest. Yeah.
I want to check
Gaming.
how long. I want to check
Gaming.
how long.
Oh, and earlier I said that the Cryo Archive is a classic world's best sandwich situation. Let us know what that means in the comments below.
Oh, I forgot. Okay. Anyways, yeah. And let us know your Publix order for sure.
Someone send
Cool.
me Publix. Like,
It's so good. Anyways, I gotta go fucking scarf one down while editing this. So I'm so excited right now. I'm salivating. It's 11:15 at night. I'm ready to
we got
devour this
Picklemans
shit.
here. I love Picklemans, but that's
That's made up shit. That's not a real fucking thing. You just
Sounds Canadian.
Yeah.
Picklemans?
it does sound like it should be Canadian, but it's not. It's just like a sandwich place that no one likes but me, and I do like it a lot though. So
Cool.
Next
Anyways,
sponsor.
yes, I'll take sponsorships from anyone, bro. Stop this. Fucking balloon. Anyways, yeah, official sponsorship money. We could do like something fun. We could take out like a billboard ad for the podcast or something. That'd be sick.
yeah, that's the first thing. Yes, in 2025, the first thing that comes to mind
Traditional media
is a
advertising.
traditional billboard advertisement.
We could do it like right across from Bungie or something. It'd be
We
awesome.
should do a newsletter.
Get
Escape
Joe
will make
Ziegler
me
on
pod.
Escape Will Make Me Pod. It's just a
Oh.
big billboard right outside of Bungie HQ.
That would be so sick. Get Herman Holtz on Escape Will Make Me Pod.
Yeah.
He hasn't left, right? He's still
No,
he's still thing?
he's still had the creative head of SIE, I think.
All
or
these
the-
fucking C-suite people leaving and fucking retiring and like firing people and shit. It all runs together.
No one
It's-
from Sony has left for a hot second. It's mostly the Bungie folks that have been the shake.
I'm thinking Xbox. I think because Phil
Oh
Spencer
yeah,
is
Xbox had
gone
a big shakeup.
or something. I don't find it
That
doesn't
whole,
matter.
That whole
this
thing is so messy. We do
this
not
is
we do not have time to get into that.
outside the scope of this podcast. As a stakeholder in the podcast, I'm denying this conversation, even though I brought it up.
Yeah, this is your fault.
Someone sponsor Publix or picklers, pickleball,
Picklemans.
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 Sponsor the podcast or Pocket Podcast. That one of these platforms
Pocket Cast?
yeah, Pocket Cast. Thank you. Sponsor this so we can take out a billboard in Seattle. That'd be sick. thank you everyone for listening to this week's Escape Omega Pod. We'll probably be back in relatively short order, less than a week. I would if
If
our schedules align.
if you own a billboard in Bellevue, send us your rates.
Yes, great, good. Plant the seeds now. I like this. Okay, everyone, have a fantastic week. Plug yourselves. I forgot. No, plug yourselves.
Soldier Boy, tell him MySpace. Turn my swag on.
Okay. All right, Ryan, your
I don't
turn.
know, you should check out Jake's videos. Jake and Skarrow's videos.
Rogue.site.
Rogue.site. Yeah. I don't know.
Fuck yeah.
Scary
Okay.
family stuff.
I thought you
Keep
said
your
Polygon shut down.
thoughts.
I saw the Twitter accounts like
No,
fucking
Polygon
harassing
did not.
people online. What is that?
This
It's
is
it's zombie Polygon, man. I still know some people there, but they fired like 80% of the people that actually.
So it
could
is
help.
still going though?
It is,
Okay.
yes. Yes, it is still going, which is good for the
They're
people
dead
who are
to
still
me,
there.
though.
But also, I mean, that's kind of how I view it. It's personally difficult. This guy helped build that place for like 10 years. I didn't start it, but I helped build it what it became. So no, it is still going. But it lost basically with no disrespect to the people I know who are still there. It lost, a large chunk of the soul of it almost a year ago. Yeah.
Party.
So, yep.
Anniversary.
So, no, yep. Fun stuff. Yeah. But, anyway.
cool. Everyone, have a great week. I'll see you soon.